Massifix. Massive. There we go. All right. Welcome, everyone. This is clearly the first time I'm hitting the start button on casting tonight. And for those of you who are watching the VOD, I definitely started on time. Isn't that the game that ended with choosing your favorite color? Are you talking about the stream title, or... Oh, I think you're referring to the ending for I haven't seen, I haven't played Mass Effect 3 yet, but that bears a passing resemblance to, I think, what most people were complaining about the third game. And welcome, HJTV. Or sorry, HJVT. So yeah, obviously, for those of you who regularly watch the live broadcasts, I am starting at pretty much the far range of my start times, and I do need to get some sleep and make sure that I do a fair amount of work tomorrow. Just had a ton of technical problems, which unfortunately, because I have a real job on which some people depend, you can't just say, well, you know, technical problems, it's late. That doesn't fly. So I'll do my best to do a full cast, but if it's looking like I'm not gonna get a good night's sleep, it's not just that I need to be at work. I need to be at work and like on top of my game to make up for a lot of the stuff that happened today, which I'd like to say wasn't my fault, but blame isn't really the right way to think about this. So, also for those of you who are wondering what the devil's going on a Wednesday, Cultist Simulator is gonna be in hibernation for the next little while. It's not to say that I don't like the game, but I have been streaming that every Wednesday for a couple of months now, and I would really like to free this up to do some of the other things that people like. So I will very likely do some Cultist Simulator VOD content on YouTube. And it will be coming back to the stream, but I figure a little break from it would be a great way to sort of get ready for the coming changes that'll be coming in Teresa's build and whatnot. And there may be some surprises coming up. Obviously, Monday is HP Lovecraft's birthday, and they will be doing some special events with that. There's a couple of contests already going on, and rumor has it there may be some other things happening. So, but yeah, let's jump into Mass Effect and see what trouble I can get myself up to. I don't even remember quite where we were in the game, so as is our way, we'll do a little bit of the codex. Now, one of the problems that I run into with the codices are that it doesn't let me read them. It'll let me read the secondary ones. So what I think I'm going to do this time, as long as the non-sapient creatures are short, we'll go through those just to get a little bit of a pulse in the chat. I'll read at least one segment of secondary, and then we can carry on with our adventure, because I need to sort of realign myself in terms of where the story was too.
After the Geth secure a location, they round up and impale dead and living bodies on mechanical spikes. The spikes rapidly transform these victims into withered husks, extracting water and trace minerals, and replacing them with cybernetics. The cybernetics reanimate the lifeless flesh and tissue, transforming the bodies into mindless killing machines. Some Alliance soldiers refer to the husk-generating spikes as dragon's teeth, a reference to the mythological berserkers who sprang up from the earth wherever the teeth of the dragon Eris were planted. Dragon's teeth and husks bear little resemblance to other pieces of Geth technology. No one is sure why a synthetic race would bother to drain the minuscule amount of recoverable resources from organic corpses, though the value of reusing them as shock troops is obvious.
That's really funny, HJVT. I remember the complaints about Mass Effect 3, but I played Mass Effect 2 just after. So I had a long time. I worked in movies for a little while, and so I didn't really have the time. And when I was getting myself established, I didn't really have the money for any upgraded computers. I had a Mac where I did my editing and such. I didn't do editing professionally. But yeah, I kind of kept that you know, I kept that little thread, but like I think the only real game I had was like Halo on the Mac. So after several years, I finally played PC games again, and like Mass Effect 2 was one of the first things that I ever played, and it blew me away because like I think the last thing that I'd played was like something. I guess it was. It's probably like Counter-Strike 1.6 was like the one thing I remember playing like lots of. So if you go from that and then you play Mass Effect 2, it's like, oh my god, like gaming, you don't need virtual reality. This is like playing a movie. And you know, I've been kind of catching up ever since, it feels like. So I liked Mass Effect 2 a lot. I haven't played it on stream, but I do know a lot of people didn't like number 3. I think it's aged better. Like I think all the hate's now moved on to Andromeda, and that people have made their peace with Mass Effect 3. I know a couple of people who have always thought 3 was a perfectly satisfying ending. But for me, I sort of have roughly an idea where it's all going. But I figured I'd start with Mass Effect 1. I would really revel in number 2 because I like that game a lot. And then we'll come what may with Mass Effect 3.
Thresher moths are subterranean carnivores that spend their entire lives eating or searching for something to eat. Threshers reproduce via spores that can lie dormant for millennia, yet are robust enough to survive prolonged periods in deep space and atmospheric re-entry. As a result, thresher spores appear on many worlds, spread by previous generations of space travelers. The body of a thresher never entirely leaves the ground. Only the head and tentacles erupt from the earth to attack. In addition to physical attacks, threshers have the ability to project toxic chemicals and emit bursts of infrasound as a shockwave weapon. The Alliance first encountered threshers on the colony of Akuz in 2177. After contact was lost with the Pioneer team, Marine units were deployed to investigate. The shore parties were set upon by hungry threshers, and nearly the entire assault force was killed. Alliance forces recommend engaging threshers with vehicle-mounted heavy weapons.
All right, so now we'll go on to my beloved secondary, well, if I can, my beloved secondary, because that lets me read. So the Aliens Council races. Salarians League of One. Before they joined the Citadel Council, the Salarians' most potent military tool was a small reconnaissance team known as the League of One. Their primary training was in espionage and assassination. Never more than a dozen strong, the team was adept at infiltrating the tightest defenses and eliminating all unnecessary obstacles. Only a few top members of government and military were privy to the League's identities. League members wore no distinguishing garments, held no particular rank. The only evidence of their participation in the League was a small medallion presented to each member upon induction. This secrecy was maintained until the formation of the Council. In an effort to dispel rumors and appease their new Asari partners, the Salarian Union released all classified documents pertaining to the League. The League of One was suddenly exposed and in danger of being hunted by enemies of the Salarians. Before any harm could be done, the team mysteriously disappeared. Most assumed that it was a convenient lie to help hide their identities, but a few months later the inner cabinet was murdered. Though there was no incriminating evidence, it was clear who was responsible. Realizing the threat posed by this rogue outfit, the Special Task Group dispatched a team of hunters. When they didn't return, the STG dispatched 10 of its brightest operators with broad discretionary powers. Only 2 returned, and they reported no evidence of the League. No further incidents were reported, and it was assumed that the League was wiped out. Some recently declassified documents, however, have suggested that there may have been a 13th member who eluded the Salarian Ministry. Turians, the Unification War. At about the time the Salarians and Asari were forming the Council, the Turians were embroiled in a bitter civil war. The Unification War, as it was later named, began with hostilities between the colonies furthest from the Turian homeworld, Palaven. These colonies were run by local chieftains, many of whom had distanced themselves from the hierarchy. Without the galvanizing influence of the government, the colonies became increasingly isolated and xenophobic. colonists began wearing emblems or facial markings to differentiate themselves from members of other colonies, and open hostilities became common. When war finally broke out, only the hierarchy maintained strict diplomacy and refused to get involved. When war finally broke out, the hierarchy maintained strict diplomacy and refused to get involved. After several years of fighting, less than a dozen factions remained, and the hierarchy finally intervened. By that time, the chieftains were too weak to resist, and they were forced to put an end to the fighting and renew their allegiance to the hierarchy. Though peace was restored, it took several decades for the animosity between colonists to fade completely. To this day, most Turians will still wear facial markings of their home colonies. As a point of interest, the Turian term barefaced refers to one who is beguiling or not to be trusted. It is also a slang term for politicians. So it's not as if the game as a whole was bad, it's just the ending was really, really disappointing. Is it something of a non-conclusion? Okay, fair enough. I mean, obviously, I think one of the things that's probably a selling point of playing the third game will be, as you've noticed, like I do a lot of talking, and I tend to do a bit of analysis in terms of the games and stories and such that I play. So I suspect a little bit of the selling point of me doing the Mass Effect trilogy whenever I get to number 3 will be my reaction to the ending. And obviously I have I have the benefit of all the patches and you know, subsequent DLC that have been made for the final game. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely not my place to tell people what their tastes are. You know, if somebody says that they don't like a game, I don't think you can really like reason them to a different point of view. I think the best you can really do is just share some of the reasons why you're particularly passionate about something, and maybe they'll see it a new light, maybe they won't. But I do think one of the nice things about playing this so much later is that I'm a little bit free. So I don't have the same, like, I like the Mass Effect series. And really, I should just say that I like one game in the Mass Effect series, and this other one is engaging, if, you know, obviously a little rough around the edges as far as some of the systems. Clearly, Mass Effect 2 is a little bit more of a polished experience because, of course, they're building on the foundation of this really popular first game. But yeah, I sort of like the fact that I'm coming to it as, you know, I'm interested in playing this and I have no real expectations. If anything, my expectations are tempered because I know so many people dislike the ending to the third game. So we'll see. But you know, if I happen to like it, I'm not going to turn around and say everybody who disliked it was an idiot. It just means that I had a different experience, which might reflect the distance that I have from the game, or it just might mean that my tastes are a little odd. Prothean Cipher. The Prothean beacon downloaded its knowledge into Lieutenant Commander Shepard on Eden Prime, causing confusing dreams and visions. While the imagery is becoming clearer with time, the meaning of the beacon communication remains elusive. It has been suggested that the Prothean data recording is highly dependent on a certain point of view, what Carl Jung described as the collective unconscious. The cipher needed to comprehend the images implanted in Shepard's mind is the cultural knowledge of a Prothean, the archetypes, biological instincts, and common experiences universal to the race. Since the Protheans have been dead for millennia, it may be impossible to acquire this cipher. And the Prothean data disks. Despite all evidence confirming the existence of Protheans, little is known about their culture and society. From time to time, dig sites will yield new clues, but after 50,000 years of decay, little of value is unearthed. Recent research has focused on the discovery of Prothean data disks. On their own, they are frail and rarely found in one piece. Occasionally, however, an intact disk will be discovered within a console or a reading device. To date, over 36 disks have been recovered, and a few of those have been restored to the point where researchers can begin analyzing them. Though it may be some time before scientists discover a way to transfer the data off the disks, they are currently considered the most tangible leads for learning more about Prothean culture. Tune in next stream when we learn more about the galaxy. We were let me just take a quick look at where we're at in the galaxy map. I feel like we moved to a system in order to... So we're in the Hydra system. I feel like there was a mission... Oh, hang on. I feel like there was a mission that we said we were going to perform right away, so... Hydra at Argos Row, or Pinnacle Station. Okay, a lot of stuff that we need to turn in at the Citadel. Okay, well on the Citadel you uncovered an Alliance patrol report. One of the patrols mentioned some strange activity in the Hydra system of the Argos Rogue cluster. So, either I've already done it and I've forgotten, but I suspect the mission would not be listed. Let's see what we've got. Romulus is a thick atmosphere of nitrogen and helium. Its surface is scorching hot and mainly composed of alumina, with deposits of borax. The planet has an extensive network of subterranean caves formed over the millennia by volcanic processes. In these relatively cool areas, some primitive life has developed. Orbital period of 0.4 Earth years, radius of 9,593 kilometers, a day length of 19.4 Earth hours, atmospheric pressure of 1.3 Earth atmospheres, surface temperature of 503 degrees Celsius, and a surface gravity of 1.2 Gs. I will not read that technical data ever again. At least this stream. Metgos.
Message coming in. Patching it through.
General distress call. The Sacred Angel medical transport. Critical system failure. Losing power. An emergency landing. Argos. Communications failing. Life support and emergency transponder. Won't last. Please hurry.
Warning, level 2 heat hazard. Metgos is a large terrestrial planet with an atmosphere of carbon dioxide and nitrogen. Its hot surface is mainly composed of nickel with deposits of potassium and heavy metals. It is a mineralogical treasure trove with concentrated heavy elements constantly being brought to the surface by volcanic activity. Metgos is inhospitable and dangerous, and expeditions must be well prepared to survive any length of time. With its high mass, heat-trapping clouds, and constant volcanic venting, Metgos seems well on its way to becoming a Venusian pressure cooker world. Because of course we want to land here. Soundtrack to the entire series is probably the best you personally ever heard in a game. It's a really good one. I'm trying to think if I even have any, like, real comparisons. Now, the challenge that I run into is if I wanted a properly balanced group, I would bring along Garrus, who I quite like as a character, but I really like Tali. And this presents a little bit of a difficulty for me, because I really do need to handle the combat and the biotics, and there's really no good balanced way of doing it, so I'm just going to accept that I'm a little weak on combat. But yeah, the soundtrack's spectacular. I think I got the Mass Effect 2. I mean, I have Apple Music now, so like I have just about everything. But I can remember putting a lot of time into it in my after I'd played it. Okay, hopefully I'll remember what the quick save button is, but I think it's F6. Yeah. And we can go to anomalies or debris. I know they said they were going to die soon, but, you know, what's life without a little risk, right? By the way, I appreciate you hanging out, HJVT. I know some people get turned off by the fact that I have a little bit of a lead-in to the stream. You can do it, buddy. You know, I tend to lose new people whenever I'm, like, just starting casting, because I basically give people a bit of a fighting chance, especially when I'm late, when covering. Hey, Johnny! Speak of the devil. But yeah, I normally like do lore stuff because, I don't know, people seem to like the sound of my voice usually. So it gives me a chance to do some dialogue that's still related to the game while giving people a chance to show up. How the devil are you, sir? Again, I know I said this to you earlier, but I apologize for not seeing... well, I don't think that guy's coming out of here. Turian insignia recovered. While searching the wreckage, you found a very old letter stamped with the Gothis colony insignia. Unfortunately, the text is indecipherable. I almost forgot something. Just give me 1 second, folks. All right. This will hopefully come up later. But yes, I'm sorry for missing your Kingdom Come Deliverance stream, but I'm sure I will get a chance to see that later. Actually, HAVT, we were talking about this last time I played this game. Have you ever heard of it's a pretty old game. Definitely before my time, but I did have somebody with an old Genesis that let me play it. It's a game called Starflight, and it's one of the few cases where the Genesis version of the game was actually better than the PC one. Yeah, you know, everybody told me that the Mako, like driving the Mako, is supposed to be a really frustrating part, and like obviously because I just drive in straight lines, like I have these insane sort of like Skyrim cliff moments where I, you know, I just try to go up, you know, vertical, no. I try to go up stuff like that, basically, which obviously takes forever, but I don't know, I like it quite a bit. And it bears a lot of resemblance to... Yeah, I don't get it. This is still quite different. So Mass Effect 2 was the game where I made this connection, but especially playing this one. In Starflight, you would basically have this sort of collection of planets. I think they might have even been procedurally generated. And basically, you'd go planet to planet. You believe the people who complained about the Mako were console peasants. Fair enough. But yeah, so you would actually go and scan for like metals and stuff like that. And one of the big things about the game was you were looking for this particular fuel, which became more and more scarce in the game world, and so the prices would go up. And there's a really interesting sort of plot twist, which I don't want to give away at the end, but Starflight was a really good game, and I was like, there's a side of me that's like, oh, this is a really interesting take on that. And I found out after the fact that the Mass Effect creators 100% took Starflight as as sort of like a guiding light. Like they really liked that game, and they wanted to capture. Ooh, I've caused some problems for myself. Oh yeah. But yeah, so apparently that was a very conscious decision that they made. And I know Starflight is available. So Starflight's an EA game, just like Mass Effect, as it turns out. But it's different. So the I know the one bona fide legal way that you can get the game is by buying it on GOG, but that will be the PC version. The graphically improved, I'd actually say graphically and user interface improved version was on the Sega Genesis, but I don't know if it's on like one of those emulator, not emulator, but like, you know, those like mini consoles, like the Nintendo ones that they're selling. I don't know if it's included on that, and I don't believe emulation is a legal copy of it. So I am a little bit lucky in that there's a video game bar in Ottawa that does tend to have classic games, so I actually have a place where I can play the original, or not the original, but the Genesis version of Starflight. But it is definitely one that I sort of wish people would do a legitimate port of.
There is the wreckage. I do not see any survivors.
So people could have the... Oh, wrong button. Honestly, I prefer just running over these guys. I don't even think I'm doing anything. I might get out and... Nope, that's working. Except for the overheat. Well, I mean, so the ethics are largely a matter of an individual taste. I mean, one of the things is that games... You can think about movies and games as being... So developers get money from publishers. Basically, the people who are making the games that you like, they get money from publishers because essentially what a publisher does is... Surely there's a way for me to repair. Why can I never remember these controls? I thought it was H, but you know what? I think I'll risk it. But yeah, so basically the publisher sort of they spend money today, and what they're buying is sort of a lifetime stream of revenues in the form of this video game. So the drawback here is that even if it's 30 years, that's money that sort of EA had bought when they originally got the Starflight game, and obviously, you know, every once in a while you make a Casablanca, which is going to keep making you money, you know, almost 100 years after it's made. Well, I mean, it's not that old, but you get the idea. And then sometimes you have, you know, the other films that never really got the reputation of Casablanca. And you can never really predict it. That's why they buy, you know, that's why they buy rights to a lot of different games. Rare elements surveyed. You've successfully surveyed a large deposit of thorium. So anyways, the long story short on this is my own personal belief, and again, this is partly just a reflection of my sort of my work with intellectual property stuff, especially when it's available on GOG, who is obviously, there's a transfer of rights and there's revenues to be made from the title and doing the adaptations and that. I do support where I can, but I also appreciate that there's sites, I think it was like MU Heaven or whatever it was called. Surely, I don't remember. I feel like there was something. I feel like there was something I was supposed to do here, and I just don't have access to it now. But yeah, I mean, obviously it's a gray zone. There's some cases where things are clearly not permitted unless you're buying it from a specific source. But in my own case, especially because I'm GOG affiliated, I let people know the PC option, and then the Genesis option people will need to figure on their own. I'm also, I mean, I'm always boring because I know some of the... Oh yeah, so I just needed to get the ambush, that's all. I also have this background in like all of this arcane stuff, so maybe I just shouldn't distribute that knowledge, and that way people can live in ignorance about whether or not they're violating some moral law. But anyways, the overall point was whether you play the Genesis version or whether you play the PC version, if you want an idea of where the Mako sequences came from, and for a lesser extent the planet scanning in Mass Effect 2, if you play Starflight, you will see the inspiration for the creators. Whee! I'm mostly just doing this to... I don't really want to spend too much time on this planet, but it would be... I'm a little curious to see if there's anything else. I'm actually especially curious about this since it's not showing up on the map. You can do it, Mako. No, you can't. But see, now that I know stuff is there, I'm going to insist on going for it. All right, we'll go around the mountain. I heard, I don't know if this is true about Andromeda, but apparently one of their hopes was to do more sort of procedurally generated worlds and make the game a lot more about sort of this search through space for worlds to colonize. I don't know if that, like, I've never played Andromeda. I've never even seen Andromeda. I've just seen, I mean, obviously everybody's seen the kind of the collection of clips people made about silly things happening in the game. Oh, there it is. That is what you get for the first search on royalty-free heavy metal music, chat. Get me out of here. All right, moving right along. Actually, you know what? One day, so I'm not going to make any promises about when this is going to happen, but one day I will stream Starflight on stream. It definitely takes... I have to be in the mood for the PC version, and because I play the Genesis version at the video game bar... Well, actually, okay, that's one thing that I might be able to sweet talk them into letting me borrow one of their consoles. And I don't have an Elgato, but there might be some way that I can get that thing hooked up. So never say never, but I'll probably be playing the one you can get on GOG. Thear is a large gas giant with traces of chlorine and sodium in the atmosphere. It also has a significant amount of water vapor in the clouds in its upper atmosphere. Thear was struck by an asteroid at least 12 kilometers in diameter within the last 100 years. The superheating caused the impactor's atmospheric passage created by the impactor's atmospheric passage created a large bank of vicious storms along the equatorial band. Canrum is a small rocky world with trace atmosphere of methane and krypton. Its surface is mainly composed of magnesium and silicates with deposits of carbon. Canrum was the site of the warlord Shiger's defeat by Turian peacekeeping forces during the Krogan rebellions. While this band was not especially powerful, Shiger was a female warlord and one of the few remaining fertile females at that. She had, through viciousness and cunning, parlayed her unique value into a position of power. Krogan males competed for the right to join her band and to band with and lie with her. When Shiger's death was announced, vengeful male Krogan admirers from near and far swore blood oaths against the participating Turian crews. In the end, several thousand of the Turian participants were killed in open combat or through assassination. To this day, many of the Krogan proudly proclaim that they have the blood of Shiger. And we have uncovered or recovered Turian insignia. Scans of the planet Canrum have revealed dangerous levels of radiation coming from orbit. Chief Engineer Adams conducted further scans and discovered the remains of an ancient warhead marked with the Parthia colony insignia. Seba is a standard Neptune-type gas giant. The upper cloud decks of its hydrogen-helium atmosphere tinted a dramatic blue by traces of methane. You've actually been on stream at least once when you were talking about Apple while playing Assassin's Creed Unity. So you're probably... I didn't think I'd seen you during Mass Effect, but your name did seem familiar. And yeah, so you're probably familiar with my babbling tendencies. Assassin's Creed will be coming back soon, by the way. But a game that I think is going to be a little bit more of a fan favorite. Gas deposit surveyed. Scans from orbit have detected a large concentration of helium-3. Okay, so I think we're good for Hydra. We'll try Pinnacle Station just for the sake of it. By the way, I'm not going to say... So I did some preliminaries here. One of the things that I was sort of interested in doing, sort of for a future cast, is I've been meaning to do some... so we were talking a little bit about doing financial analysis of game companies. And I do like this idea of being able to talk a little bit about it. And I did some preliminaries in terms of like Activision, Blizzard, Take-Two, Electronic Arts, things like that. And I've always had this. I also intend to do some like European companies like Ubisoft and CD Projekt Red, 11-bit Studios, that sort of stuff. But I know I've always been a little bit of an outlier in terms of being willing to say that I think EA is actually a better company than people give it credit for. But I took a look at the financials, and EA is a very good company. Well, I mean, I'll wait for the full breakdowns, but it's very interesting to see the perceptions about those companies relative to the reality. And you found me on YouTube. Ah, that's right. You're here for the rambling. Yeah. So this is the first Wednesday in months that I haven't done Cultist Simulator. But don't worry. I mean, so obviously, if Cultist Simulator is really what drove you here, the best I can say is it will be coming back, but it's gonna be on a short hiatus while we wait for the new update. I'm still personally playing it, and I'll probably do a couple of VODs about the Gate of Horn branch. But we did complete our Doctor playthrough last week. Patashi. And sorry I didn't remember that, HJVT. Patashi is a sun-blasted terrestrial world whose atmosphere was blasted away millennia ago by the Star Phoenix. The surface is scorching hot and mainly composed of iron with deposits of tin. Due to its relatively low density, Patashi is tidally locked to Phoenix, sees the molten light metals cover much of the sunward side. Rare element surveyed. While scanning this planet, you detected a deposit of samarium. I don't even know what that is. Carbonaceous asteroid. This asteroid is emitting a weak intermittent signal at a frequency of 1,540 megahertz with a radius of 71 kilometers. Prothean data disk recovered. During a scan of the Phoenix system asteroid field, you detected an odd energy reading that Tali determined was Quarian in nature. She led a recon team into the asteroid field, where she discovered an abandoned freighter. The team could not determine why the ship was there, but they did find a Prothean data disk on board. Silsalto. Silsalto is a standard hydrogen-helium gas giant. It has no remarkable features. Well, I am out of a job then, because I don't have anything fancy to say about planets like that. Okay, but I think you were HJVT when you were in Assassin's Creed Unity, though, weren't you? Because your name. The thing I don't like doing to people is when I have. So like the problem is, there was a time when I would know everybody who followed and everybody who stopped by. Like, there were also some people who liked stopping by but didn't follow, and like I could keep track of every detail. And definitely people from those earlier times, I can remember a lot of like specific streams that they were in. But unfortunately, you know, I would not complain about having more people watching and coming and going, but I've definitely lost my ability to remember some specific... I mean, the nice thing is people who annoy me also, I don't remember them as well. So there's there's like a second chance as long as they're not, you know, as long as they're not nasty enough to merit a ban. But it is one thing I've sort of started to miss, which was I felt like there was a while when I could really like lock in on sort of people who, you know, even if like they'd visited once before. So it's like, it's just a personable thing, right? Like if I'm not gonna have like a visual of someone or of myself, like being able to say it's like, oh hey, yeah, you were here last month or something like that. I miss being able to do that. But I also don't like being the kind of person who's like, yeah, you with the shoes and you've got glasses, right? No. So Uplink is a great game. That was, I was talking about the time when I didn't get to game that much. Uplink was released for Mac as well, so I did get to play that one. I liked it a lot. And I imagine my delight when I found Zachtronics games, because I have been looking for some good like hacking style games. Zachtronics is definitely over the deep end as far as like programming stuff, but I think they're pretty fun. I should maybe try Uplink on stream once. We'll see if that would be an interesting one. And Hacknet seems to be another interesting take, but I haven't personally played it yet. Tuntao is an enormous low-density terrestrial planet with a thick atmosphere of methane and helium. Despite being nearly 20 AU from Phoenix, the star's great heat and insulating thickness of the atmosphere make the surface surprisingly temperate. The crust is mainly composed of sodium and silicon dioxide with deposits of various light metals. While Tuntao is not habitable, the relative pleasantness of the surface conditions make it a popular location for small ships traveling through the Argos Rho cluster to land for drive discharge. I feel like this thing gets dropped from high, even, like, so the cutscene is the same, but I keep feeling like it gets dropped from increasingly higher, higher levels. It's like one day we're in orbit and we need to find a way down. Johnny, I am curious what your impressions of Kingdom Come Deliverance are, because I've only played basically past the tutorial. So I, you know, my dad yelled at me for like throwing dung at somebody's house, and that's about it. But I haven't played any anything familiar from that game, or like anything that's like the core experience. There we go. Well, sniper I ain't. We played Shenzhen I.O. It is a PCB design puzzle game that, yeah, so I own it. I am currently playing Space Chem and TIS 100, but I do intend to play Shenzhen I.O. And I almost bought Exapunks, but I thought there's no point in doing an early access version of a game that I'm not going to play until I've played everything from Space Chem to Opus Magnum. to completion. And unfortunately, Space Chem, I'm getting a little bit stuck on the ones where you need to start breaking apart atoms and, or not, well, like basically breaking stuff apart and like using the recycler. I'm kind of bad at those, so. I'm waiting to hear the traditional enemies everywhere! Oh. Well, I'm an idiot. I can't even blame that on reading reading chat, because obviously I knew that guy was out there. Well, seeing as I know we've got an environment to go into, let's explore some friendlier places first. I should probably just use my sniper rifle in that. But yeah, one of the things that actually kept me from playing Shenzhen IO right away was I think that game uses what was it? Like the manual use. You don't necessarily need to print it out, but you do need to have it available to you. And I was playing it on my laptop at the time, so obviously with the streaming setup, I've got 2 monitors, so I can monitor chat and the stream quality. So it's ideal when I'm, you know, when I'm on my PC, but when I'm on my so I play a lot of games now when I'm not streaming them when I'm in bed. So it if I only have one screen, it turns me on. Like playing old games, you know, the ones that like I've never played before and I need a manual for. Similar idea. I tend not to be able to play them. Asari capsule. Matriarch's writings discovered. You found one of Matriarch's Delinga's writings from this body. It's possible writings came from the nearby ruins. Usually we don't have enough electronic skill to handle the debris, but we'll work with what we've got. One thing, this isn't really related to Mass Effect, but one thing where I started seeing, you know, seeing behind the Matrix, was when I was playing Grand Theft Auto 5. You know, I thought it was a great looking game, and you know, these big wide open atmospheres. I'm like, why? How do they do that? Like, what's some of the magic? And I actually went out to the desert, and I took a look at the textures on the ground, and I realized how simple they are, or like under the car, how very basic it is. And just the simple fact that they know that most people are not actually going to, most people are not going to spend the time staring at the bottom of the car or like staring at the ground in the middle of the desert, that they can get away with that sort of stuff. And it's a nice little, it's like some, less so now because it's so cheap to paint stuff out. But I can remember like some Michael Bay movies where if you watch them in the theater, like during the explosion scenes, you could see the cameras in the shot, but nobody cared, because if you're the kind of guy that watches an action movie looking for the cameras, you're probably a boring person. And guess what? I am. Uh-oh. Well, I mean, like, my everybody knows my background. Like I do, you know, I took my job seriously enough, and more importantly, like I liked doing indie stuff enough that I really feel like I did not get. Yeah, this is where I need to be going. Like, I always had, so I knew what sort of like paid me day to day. So usually science fiction. Okay, so actually here's a little bit of biography for those of you who don't already know this. A lot of the science fiction jokes I come up with come from the fact that for a while I supported myself through working in the camera department on science fiction television shows. Yeah, of course, my electronic skill is too low. So like, I didn't work for the full duration on them, but some of the things that I've worked on include Battlestar Galactica, Stargate Atlantis, Stargate SG-1, a couple of the made-for-TV or direct-to-video movies. I think those are like the big ones. Then there's stuff like Blood Ties, which I don't know if anybody ever saw outside of whoever. I don't even know what network it was for. But yeah, like, so a lot of these like silly jokes that I have on the stream titles actually come from the fact that I, you know, like I probably know more than I ever would have about these shows from that weird little bit of background. But like the thing is that for the stuff that would pay me, I'm usually very low on the rung. But I did take the job seriously enough that like when I would watch movies, so I can still tell you my favorite cinematographer, Conrad Hall. He's the guy who shot Searching for Bobby Fischer. There's actually a really neat thing that they do about the frame. So if anybody's seen Searching for Bobby Fischer, I'll tell you about the way that they frame the shots, which I think is just a really smart way they did it. Probably one of his most famous shots is I think it's in Cold Blood. The one that's a scene sort of in front of a window with the rain. But more contemporary stuff, he did American Beauty, and his last film before he died, unfortunately he had bladder cancer, was Road to Perdition. And so I think Jude Law is great. I think it's a pretty decent movie. It's not one that I think a lot of people remember, but he I don't know, like whether or not you remember Road to Perdition, it's a beautiful looking film. If I was a cinematographer, I would want to go out that way. But yeah, so anyways, because on Independence I would usually get to do bigger roles, I did take the time to study and do it well. So even if I'm just loading mags, oh yeah, Bionic Woman was another one I worked on. Not as successful as Battlestar Galactica. With Tom Hanks? Oh, awesome, Johnny Big Time. See, I knew you always keep saying that you don't have a good taste in movies, and yet you just come up with these like deep cuts like Road to Perdition that delighted me. HAVT says Battlestar Galactica is so it's probably the best science fiction space opera show movie you've ever seen. Yeah, I mean the shame about it is that I worked on the last season and I've never seen it from the start. I think the actress who played Starbuck is named Katie, and I know the Cylon woman is named Trisha, but I don't know her character's name, unfortunately. Oh, Gaius Baltar. I remember that name. I don't think I really saw him that much, though. I worked on one of the episodes I worked on. They had like a boxing match going on. Okay, I am just no good. You know what? My guys have got this. I'm feeling good about it. Oh, there's that bark. Holy smokes! What was that? Okay, enough trips down memory lane. That's 2 embarrassing deaths to the pirates. This aggression will not stand. Yeah, didn't work. I mean, these guys have got it, right? Why can I... I always thought this was like a cover-based thing, but... Alright, so... Watch out for the rocket, guys, is the lesson out of this. I, for some reason, can't aim at all tonight, either. So, but that's why God invented quick saves. And here I'm going to try something a little bit different by going down the other end. I love how I move twice as fast once I'm in combat. Okay, so as long as my guys take care of the guy behind me. Oh, drat. Yeah, I'm not fast enough to snipe these guys. Nope, that didn't fix Liara, and I'm in deep trouble. Oh god. Yeah, I'm not getting out of here. Alright, that was not a good round. So I think I will abandon the sniper rifle, and I will try to make better use of this space, this sort of space bar menu.
Let's take them out.
You know what? You guys can take care of that.
Go, go, go! Go, go, go!
That had nothing to do with me. Good work, team. Yeah, of course they won't let me quick save in the middle of combat. Although that's probably for my protection, because if you quick save just before... Alright.
Enemy is everywhere! Enemy is everywhere! Enemy is everywhere!
This is gonna go bad soon.
Go, go, go!
Are they just immune to this? God damn it. Feels like it's stuck between actual action, lock-on, and selectability MMO. Yeah, it's, I've noticed it's one where I seem to... There's some cases where it really clicks for me, and some cases where it's, like, it's just sheer embarrassment the whole way. Hopefully this heals everyone. Okay, thank God.
Go, go, go! Go, go, go!
Ooh, boy. Peel, peel. Oh, shit.
Hold the line! Go, go, go! Hold the line!
Yeah, that was a fairly good example where I'm like, I thought I could do something there, but my gun just didn't respond. Oh well, I'll get through it. We might be stuck here for a little while though. So you can tell me how your day went. You can say, oh well, if they do the work for me, that makes me feel better. You can say how your day went. You can say what your favorite movies are, whether you think science fiction is a good genre or not, what the best things about Mass Effect are, reasons why I'm a bad person for not having seen Battlestar Galactica.
Go, go, go!
Not without an airlift.
Well, something's shooting us. Okay, so this is roughly around the point I should be using biotics in a smart way, but looks like they've already figured that out, so.
Go, go, go! Hold the line! Hold the line!
That guy is tough. And looks like I've lost both my guys, so
Enemy is everywhere!
please don't shoot me, sir. Okay. Now, Mr. Enemy is everywhere. Where are you? You've got a shotgun. Well, I know people like to use the term speculative fiction. Like, I see exactly what you're saying. So there's very little in common with a film that I really enjoy, but I would be very reluctant to recommend to anyone here, called Primer. This movie was made for $7,000 by a guy named Shane Carruth, and his, like, it's about a lot of stuff. It's a really interesting movie. It's about sort of ideas and inspiration and friendship and
Go, go, go!
like it. They did a really good job of that movie, but the dialogue is such. So like, there's a bunch of these guys who sort of have this little like homebrew computer club, and all right, I know I'm not a shotgunner, but yeah. Anyways. It's just this really compelling science fiction movie. I am dead. I don't know why oh god. I'm just trying to hold out for the for the refresh. What was the grenade button?
Go, go, go!
Don't think that worked.
Enemy
but
is everywhere! Enemy is everywhere!
I just need to survive long enough to be able to. Oh crap! Yeah, I don't think I'm making it.
Enemy is everywhere!
But yeah, anyway, so like Primer is undeniably a science fiction movie, but it's yeah. Infiltrator, I think. But yeah, so the thing that makes the movie so difficult is that all of the technical language that the characters use is and I did that purely for character reasons, but I'm learning that there are some, so like most of the fights happen in sort of like these kind of hallways, which make the sniper rifle not really that good of a weapon. So I kind of feel like I'm being punished for my character choices. Oh, damn it.
Now I'm ready.
we'll get both characters on them. I think we need to fall back. You know what, let them come to us in this room.
Hold the line! Go, go!
Yeah, so like,
Go, go, go!
I feel like the sniper's not that effective of a weapon for the majority of combat that you run into in this game. I think I just shot Tali. I don't think we're gonna make this.
Hold the line! Hold the line!
Can't lock on.
Enemy is everywhere!
Not in my line of sight.
Hold the line! Hold the line! Enemy is everywhere! Hold the line! Enemy is everywhere! Enemy is everywhere! Go, go, go!
Maybe I can just get her to do like a heroic charge.
Enemy is everywhere! Go, go, go! Hold the line!
Well, that's gonna be inconvenient soon. So Ton, you're gonna get a overload. Sabotage?
Enemy is everywhere! Enemy is everywhere!
Fight me, you coward. Oh, god damn it, I missed it. So he seems to have some, like, immunity that he gains after a while. Damn it.
Enemy is everywhere! Enemy is everywhere!
Okay, well, Ton's got his shield back, so...
Enemy is everywhere!
Jesus Christ. You know, the shake from the way they do the sniper rifle in this game isn't enough. You have to deal with the bullets.
Enemy is everywhere!
Those are just really good helmets. Johnny, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, I want to be a little bit careful about the pirate sniper, but... Pretty sure Ton's gonna come back before the sniper, but... Alright, just you and me. Yeah, that's a... I'm thinking that ability is a bit of BS. Sci-fi defines something about the world and not about the story that's being told. I think that's fair. I mean, I think... I'm not as huge on those distinctions as I used to be, because I think... like, there's a world of difference between Primer, Star Trek, Star Wars, and... The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, or like something by Isaac Asimov or something like that, or, you know, Ian Banks or whatever. But I also think Jesus Christ. I also think you can meaningfully take a game like Stellaris, which clearly is inspired by all of those things, and like it works. It sort of makes sense. Oh God, there's got to be like somebody hanging around. It looks like it's two guys actually. Just when I thought I was out, they put me back in. That's good, fellas. You're kidding me. But yeah, I don't know, like, I still think there's... I think there's enough, like, I think even if you like Isaac Asimov, I think there's still a slightly higher chance that you'll also like something like Snow Crash by Neil Stephenson, even though one is very clearly like a harder kind of science fiction than... I can't even see anymore. Just shoot him, please.
Go, go, go!
Lord, give me strength with these allies. Oh crap!
Enemy is everywhere!
This is so weird. Yeah, so it feels like sometimes I can just empty a clip into a guy in like 0.3 seconds, and then sometimes I seem to have this weird animation between my shots. Oh boy.
Finally, some action.
No, you don't want that action, my lady.
Hold the line! Enemy is everywhere! Go, go, go!
That's not
Go,
helpful.
go, 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 go! Go, go, go!
To me, comrades.
Go, go, go!
Now I may conduct the fromage strats. But yeah, I don't know, like a game like Stellaris is a really good example of something that basically treats science fiction as like it's everything, but for some reason, like, it works.
Go, go, go! Ah!
Sure, and I mean, another good example of this would be like 1984, where, you know, it's sort of hard to turn around and say, like, it's not like 1984's intention is to sort of like build this whole, you know, alternate universe, and like it's not the same kind of project as like the Lord of the Rings or something like that. Like, nobody really talks about the world building in 1984, but clearly there's like what we would normally consider to be science fiction elements inside there.
Hold the line!
My allies are alive, but they're not doing that much.
Go, go, go!
Oh, this will be bad. Man, they love clustering together like that.
Hold the line! Hold the line! Enemy is everywhere! Hold the line!
that was a right between the eyes shot, and he just shrugged it off. Sorry, Tali. This is not gonna be good. Okay, so I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of here. Fucking... this game! I know what it did. It took me as going up against that edge as like... No, not at all. I mean, like, don't... Like... Building the dystopian world is... Okay. So, like, the point he's trying to make doesn't necessarily require the dystopian world, and the best that I've heard is that a lot of the dystopian world is basically him working at the BBC and not, like, enjoying it. But, like, the points about sort of language and its use and abuse, like, I'm trying to come up with the right way of saying, like, it's obviously a very different book if you don't have that setting, but like I wouldn't necessarily say the point of 1984 is the, well, sorry, Liara. I wouldn't necessarily say the point of the book is the setting that it created.
Enemy is everywhere!
Yeah, so this is a great example where I wanted to unload on that guy, and being around the corner apparently prevented me? Tali, what are you doing? Okay, we have a lease on life. But yeah, so like, I don't know, the idea that, so clearly the idea of like televisions that watch you is the stuff that you would normally see in a science fiction story. But I don't know, like the feeling, like the oppressive feeling, and like what I think the themes of the book are not necessarily ones that like, they don't have to be science fiction. I mean, especially too because he, you know, went through the Spanish Civil War. Like he fought totalitarianism on both sides. So sorry, I'm not being very articulate because I'm trying to focus on this infuriating combat. Actually, here's a question, Johnny. Have you read 1984? I know it's sometimes assigned in school, but not... I know we got to read something else instead. Although 1984 is a great book.
Hold the line! Enemy is everywhere!
Actually, for those of you who do like 1984, if you haven't read Charles Stross, he wrote a short story called Big Brother Iron, which is basically, I'd say it's a short story about like the IT support of Big Brother. It's a pretty clever follow. Like, I don't think 1984 really needs a follow-up, but if there were to be one, I think Big Brother Iron's a pretty solid piece of writing. I don't know if it's available. Like, I've got it in his collection of short stories called Toast. He might have it online, but I should be making use of that assassinate ability. God damn it.
Countermeasure deployed.
I'm not moving. Maybe I'll move a little. Oh, this is gonna suck.
Go, go, go!
Did not appreciate that was the guy with the rocket.
Shutting them down.
Go, go, go!
Tali, please get behind cover. I can't. Yeah, I don't know what I'm supposed to do about that.
Enemy is everywhere! Enemy is everywhere!
That was an explosive straight at his head. That did less damage than my sniper rifle. God damn it.
Hold the line! Enemy is everywhere!
That takes a long time to load up to a point like I don't think I really want to take the time to queue up the assassination.
Enemy is everywhere! Enemy is everywhere! Enemy is everywhere!
Damn it. I don't have any healing, so I can't afford to get hit by those charges anymore. How is he still able to fire his weapon if I just sabotaged him? God damn it. Okay, I can't right click now. I mean, I'm glad that it's at least protecting me from those shots, but... Oh yeah, if they rush me, I'm basically dead. Oh, okay. So my... Actually, here's one thing I can do. Make this a little easier. So this is kind of a crappy situation, right? I can't afford to make the move on them because one shot, I'm basically dead. But nothing seems to be motivating the AI to move out. Alright, well that was a big old waste. Damn it, I can never hit them when I'm on the assassinate. Sorry guys, I know this is not the most exciting thing to watch, but... So it feels like when I'm at low health, it doesn't actually let me do my right click anymore. But yeah, anyway, I know this isn't the most exciting thing in the world to watch, but on the odd chance that I can actually get through this, that guy's gotta get his health. Yeah, his health's fully recharged. What a fun mechanic to put into a game. We'll make characters who hide behind things forever and slowly regenerate their health, completely invalidating any progress that you made. Well, guess I can't do anything about him. Let's see what we can do about this. So it seems like if I run into the left here, they blow themselves up. Okay. Yeah, this is not a great spot to be, but let's see what we can make happen with this. Obviously, if you were Rocket Man, you should just unload your payload into this room and... Yeah, it turns out this is not a great place to be. I don't think this is going to do much, but...
Hold the line! Enemy is everywhere! Hold the line! Enemy is everywhere! Hold the line! Enemy is everywhere!
I mean, I technically regenerate a little bit from, like, death, but yeah, having an AI go to full health, especially when they seem to have this, like, you get a ridiculous buff to your
Enemy is everywhere!
like your damage resistance thing is kind of goofy.
This should slow them down.
I'll admit though, like I generally get pretty salty at any game that reduces headshots to like, oh, you just do slightly more damage. Like those are already difficult hits to make. You know what? I'm gonna hunt that guy down.
Go, go, go!
He's already dead? I wasted that ability for nothing. Fuck! I just want this to be over. I am, however, going to try taking this from you. Oh shit. Yeah, this is not a good place to fight because they can just all rush up the stairs after us. Oh, you know what the other so they all recharge, and you have to, it's not just that you it's not just that you don't recharge your health, it's that you have a delay on your health recharge. I don't even care that this doesn't even have that good range. It just lets me put a lot of volume out. So I'll wait until my shields are up, and then I should be able to hit my 3 and open up on that guy. But yeah, like this is a so if you think about how this mechanic's built, right? Oh, sure thing, JVT. I'm sorry. I know you wrote some stuff about Fahrenheit in 1984 and all of that, but I'm really, until I get this thing taken out, I'm not really good for my my interactivity. So I apologize for not engaging with you as well as I could have on that. Definitely feel free to, next time you're in, if you'd like to chat about that. I like books, so. But I hope you, I do hope you have a good sleep, and we'll see you next time. Okay, this is going to be a case where I actually think the sniper rifles. I don't know why I'm blocked now. Oh, not done yet. But yeah, so we're talking about this mechanic. Like, I have an incentive to sit and hide during a fight, to wait for my med kits to go up. The AI, for whatever reason, has been instructed to like sit and hide in these situations. So it just creates these situations where like all the incentives are in place for people to do nothing, and that doesn't really strike me as the formula for... It's like the way that I seem to be able to bait them out of their location is if I go out of cover, but that's clearly disadvantageous to me. Okay, well, that didn't work. You mean as in the class or as in this guy? Yeah, like basically if I give up my shields by going out of cover, I can get him to fire. Yeah, see, the assassinate takes just long enough for them to move between cover. And now their shields are back. I'd go for the pistol, but I have no idea what... There's still somebody in this level. Oh, thank God. Okay. Yeah, so like this, I don't know, the thing that I think is really not working for me here is the fact that the AI is structured in such a way that it's going to hide in its little hidey hole. The health works so that you need to sort of like sit and hide, and at least through the class that I'm playing, which I really just played for storytelling reasons, it seems to result in these like really unforgiving extended firefights where if you screw up once, you just pay. But it's over, so we'll work with what we've got. Okay, so I think we'll do one in like either electronics or decryption, and then one in like my weapon categories. And I feel like sniper is going to be my main one, so.
You lead, I'll follow.
Still too low. Anyway, sorry about that. I know that was probably not at all fun to watch. And obviously I was not at my best in terms of audience interaction, but we're past it. But yeah, so some of the science fiction stuff I wanted to say, like it's tough. So the term that I think is favored now is speculative fiction. And it's sort of acknowledging that there's this weird situation, which is like, if you like Dragonlance novels, you're probably also going to like Warhammer 40k novels. Or, if you want to, if you like Isaac Asimov, you might also like J.R.R. Tolkien. And in one sense, it like, if you read the books and if you're a fan, it makes complete sense, and why would you ever think otherwise is basically, I think, the only appropriate response. And if you're not in the if you're not among the chosen, it makes absolutely no sense at all. And why are they always so close to each other? So I guess if you go from like the setting point of view, you can say, it takes place in weird places, but then you remove Primer, which is kind of ostensibly a time travel story, but it takes place in the modern day. Like, the time travel is only a matter of days. Or like Frankenstein is probably like, I'd say it's probably the first science fiction. Can't really think of something that happened before Frankenstein. But that's definitely dealing with a very different set of concerns than something like the Culture novels by Ian Banks. So it's sort of hard to say. It's hard to say that it's a particular set of themes. Hanging in the back of the safe is a suit of armor, obviously made for a Krogan. It seems worthless, rusted, and dented from 100 battles. The Turian must have secured it for some reason. There's nothing else of value here. So, like, if it's about settings, then, Star Trek's in, but Primer's out. If it's about themes, well then, 1984 is a science fiction novel, but you tend not to see 1984 in the science fiction silo. Like, again, this is the thing that makes it a little funny. Like, I can see a lot of reasons to have it be there, but I don't really think that's quite the right way to think about that book. I actually think, if anything, people put a little too much emphasis on the dystopian world and on, this could be the future factor. But I guess the big one for me is that I've never really been too... So, like, I know some people get really worked up about definitions and stuff like that. But I've always sort of felt that the whole point of, like, a genre or I can't even really come up with the right terms, but like, I kind of feel like the point of having these distinctions is mostly just so that, like, I don't know, if Johnny says he likes science fiction, I feel okay giving him Snow Crash. If he says, I don't care that much for science fiction, I probably shouldn't give a book like that. Okay, I'll give myself the Storm 3 if everybody else has got their top level. So Tali should get the best shotgun, which she does have. But yeah, so, like, I don't know, it's a little bit like, so, how do I decide somebody is going to enjoy Cultist Simulator? Like, Cultist Simulator is mechanically, to me, the closest to The Sims, and having talked with Weather Factory, I now sort of understand that idle game is also an appropriate comparison. Okay, shock absorbers, bonus physics threshold, smash damage, cooldown reduction, stim pack actually seems pretty good. Shield battery. I don't know, I think I'll try the cooldown reduction. Basically, as always, I like going for the strictly better gear. Okay, Liara can get an Avenger 3. Even though it's a sniper rifle, she's probably never going to use it. I feel like a Hurricane 3 is enough of an upgrade. Sorry, I fell down the upgrade hole. I guess I can give like upgrades to these. I'll worry about those later. But yeah, so like Cultist Simulator, mechanically I would say it's closest to The Sims, and I've also sort of realized it would not be unfair to classify it like an idle game too, because that was the original inspiration. Now, would I turn around and say to someone who likes The Sims, hey, you know what you're really going to enjoy? You're going to enjoy this experimental, cult game about apocalypse and yearning. Like, all the cool kids are talking about that. And similarly, it's like, hey, do you like Cookie Clicker? Try Cultist Simulator. But, people who played Sunless Sea were obviously really big backers of that game. So it's kind of an example of how I think, like, the genre distinctions and definitions only take us so far. I'm sure somebody could come up with a really good definition as to what Cultist Simulator is. And it's one that would probably not give us a lot of information about what type of people would enjoy it. And I think that to me is the big thing about how we define certain genres. So like, if somebody likes Isaac Asimov, would they like 1984? Well, chances are they're a little educated and they're a reader, and if you're a reader, you'll probably like 1984. But there's nothing to connect those two for me otherwise. Whereas, if you think of like the Foundation series and Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, they're two very different types of story, but I think both of them are pretty good examples of science fiction. And I'm not quite sure what weird alchemy happens to those stories to make them, to make one science fiction than the other. And maybe I'm just wrong about 1984 and science fiction, but yeah, like I don't think you're building Eurasia and East Asia and Oceania as like, I don't think you're building it the same way you're building Middle Earth. Vebenock is a small terrestrial world with a thin atmosphere of krypton and xenon. Its frozen surface is mainly composed of carbonaceous material, water, ice, and low-density silicates. Rare but concentrated loads of light metals have been deposited by asteroid impacts. One hemisphere at Vebenock is covered by surface deposits of oxidized copper. Approximately 270 years ago, a Turian bulk gas transport was attacked by pirates in the Phoenix system. Damaged, it made a rough landing on Vebenock. The heat of the landing melted significant quantities of the surface ice, and ruptured shipping containers spilled locks across the surface. Before this evaporated and escaped Vebenock's weak gravity, it reacted to cause the widespread rust. It's a really cool little biography for a planet. Light metal surveyed. Scans from orbit have detected a deposit of cobalt. I've also used the term world building a couple of times. There's actually a really good article by Alexis Kennedy, who often gets associated with the term world building, about why that's not a very helpful idea. And I would like to be a better writer. And I have gotten the occasional compliment. I put out a new article if you guys haven't read it, but I do get the occasional compliment about it, which gives me hope, but I've never really been a good fiction writer. And so with that in mind, like I can't really offer a lot of hard-won experience thoughts, but the idea of like somebody sitting down and working out every last like blade of grass and every last like, you know, country and everything, I don't know, like it doesn't really work for me. I'm pretty sure we already visited here. Alright, Pinnacle Station it is. The asteroid-based Pinnacle Station was originally constructed by the Turians to function as a concealed command center during the Krogan rebellions. It has been retrofitted as a military training facility for all high-level special operations teams employed by the Council. The station's combat simulator allows teams to train under a variety of hazardous conditions. Please say there's more for me to do than more combat, because combat is absolutely not the selling point for me on this game. Well, we got a Codex entry, so that's enough.
Isn't that Commander Shepard, the human Spectre?
Whatever. Spectre or no, it's always fun to see humans get pummeled in the simulator.
What'd you say?
Commander Shepard.
Go pester Ahern, human. I'm on duty.
Ah, Commander Shepard. Welcome to Pinnacle Station. I'm Admiral Thaddeus Ahern.
I'm glad I got the invite. Where do we begin?
You'll be training in the combat simulator. After each round, you'll see how you fared against your competitors.
Why?
How does the simulator work?
Talk to Tech Specialist Auckland if you want the technical explanation. Basically, it creates combat scenarios that allow our operatives to build their skills in a safe but realistic environment.
Who will I be competing against?
The best of the best. Alliance operatives travel here from all over to try their hand at the simulator. The scores are tallied, and the winners appear on these monitors for all to see. Get your name there, and the entire Alliance will know about it.
How do I try out a combat scenario?
Go talk to Auckland over in the staging area. He'll set you up and let you choose a scenario.
Who will I be competing against?
I think we already did that.
Best of the best. The scores are tallied, and the winners appear on these monitors for all to see. Get your name there, and the entire Alliance will know about it.
So you run the station and the training here?
Last I checked. It's better than a desk job and a hell of a lot better than retirement. The facility is magnificent. It has all the technological marvels a commander needs to train the perfect soldier. The Turians give their advice. Every so often, I listen to them.
Thanks for the info.
Carry on.
Okay, so if I have like a mission to do, I'll do this, but I really don't want, of course. All right. I have a feeling like I would be a lot happier if combat was optional in this game.
Don't worry, Commander. Ahern's tough to impress.
Hey, what does this button do? Johnny, you'll be pleased to know, so I've got a bad... you'll be pleased to know that rather than, like, sneak a bite of, you know, whatever terrible, oh god. This is timed? I actually bothered to cook myself something today before stream, and it's why I'm so late. And then I realized why we hire people to cook.
Get me back in that simulator. Nothing makes my day like stomping synthetics.
Nothing special, just basically some pasta. It's little, I don't even remember. I think it's little penne noodles that I got in a package, and a sauce that was off the shelf. And I cooked some ground beef, just spaghetti. It's like a mushroom, store-bought mushroom thing. It's tomato and mushroom sauce with garlic. But I added chili flakes, and just enough chili flakes to make it really good.
So you must be the famous Commander Shepard. I'm tech specialist Alud Akron, lead programmer on the combat simulator. Do you need something? I'm sure I have a few minutes before someone forgets their password and comes crying to me for help.
So how does this work?
It's a combination of holographic images and kinetic barriers. Holographic images help you see the objects, and the kinetic barriers keep you from walking through them.
I assume the enemies are also holographic?
No. Our operatives train in a simulator by killing real, actual people. They're simulated. But I hear the kinetic slugs hurt just the same.
I quite liked it, John. I mean, one of the reasons why I like that is, especially with like a bit of bread, it's a very filling kind of a dinner. But what I wish is, I wish I just sort of understood enough basics to be able to say, okay, I'm gonna put these things together in an effective way. Because like I have a slow cooker, I have a rice cooker, and I feel like I can make individual components, but I don't quite have enough to be like, I'm gonna put this delicious dish together and I'll be proud of, proud of myself.
What am I supposed to be doing in these simulations?
That depends on the combat mode. We have time trial, capture, hunt, and survival modes.
What are the capture mode objectives?
Capture all designated control points as quickly as possible. The faster you capture all the control points, the higher your score.
What's survival mode all about?
Fend off waves of enemies for as long as possible. When the squad leader goes down, the mission ends. The longer you survive, the higher your score.
What's the goal in the hunt mode?
Defeat as many enemies as you can before the countdown timer reaches 0. You get additional time for every enemy you defeat. The more enemies you kill, the higher your score.
What's my mission in time trial mode?
You and your squad must defeat all enemies as quickly as possible. The quicker you defeat all the hostiles, the higher your score.
Okay, so time trial might actually be the...
What's the goal in the hunt mode?
Defeat as many enemies as you can before the countdown timer reaches 0. You get additional time for every enemy you defeat. The more enemies you kill, the higher your score.
I got it.
Splendid.
Let's try a new simulation.
New competitors are restricted to low-impact missions till they learn the ropes. The infirmary was starting to complain. Which combat mode? Time trial, capture, survival, or hunt?
Let's try
one of the timed missions.
And which course? I've got the warehouse or tropical courses.
That would be wonderful, Johnny. That is something that I'd really like to see.
Fine. We give you some dummy grenades and Medigel. If you try to use a real grenade, I will turn off every safety measure this simulator has.
Alright, so for the... No, in this case I think I'm actually going to go for a... I'm going to go for a balanced squad. I like that guy a lot too. This is all fascinating, really. Okay, so assault rifle for Garrus. And Liara's already been taken care of, so... Yeah, 2 personnel sounds pretty cool. Okay, good enough. You really wish you could find a game in Battlefront 2. You're going to give the next patch a chance. If it still sucks, then you're going to install it. If it goes on sale, I think I'll pick it up.
Hostile contact!
Well, I'm boned. That's a really funny line. We're back to this crap again.
I can't get it locked. I can't get it locked.
Locked on.
Can't get an angle. Can't get it locked.
So we started off really good as far as speed, but we've lost it.
Better luck next time.
God damn it.
Perimeter secure.
Okay, so I'm gonna just go charging in with, so it's 120 that I need to beat.
What do you need?
Let's try a new
Oh, sounds good,
simulation.
Johnny. I think it's probably gonna
I'm
be
here
just
to
a pretty quiet
Which combat
night.
mode? Time trial, capture, survival, or hunt?
Let's try one of the timed missions.
And which course?
What am I trying to accomplish in time?
And which course? I've got the warehouse
I think
or
I'll see how I do with the tropical course.
The projectors are warming up.
Get moving. This is a time trial. Never knew what hit it. Never knew what hit it.
Ah. Okay, so I can't just throw myself. I can't just throw myself into the melee.
What do you need?
Let's try a new sim.
Which combat mode? Time trial, capture,
Let's try one
and
at a
which
time.
course? I've got the warehouse or tropical course.
I think I'll see how I do with the tropical course.
The projectors are warming up.
Get moving. This is a time trial.
It's weird that that guy just sort of spawns around the corner, but
Shut it down.
Jesus.
Area secured.
Obviously, I was able to abuse that the last few times, but I need to keep an eye on who's got a shotgun, apparently.
What do you need?
Let's try a new simulator.
Which combat mode? Time trial, capture, survival, or...
Sign me up for
All right. I can get you set up in either the subterranean level or the volcanic level.
Give me volcanic.
Fine. The projectors are warming up. You can start whenever.
Move, Shepard. You need to kill to keep a hunt mission going.
Over there!
You're gonna feel that one tomorrow. All pain, no gain. That's it, Shepard. Give 'em hell. All pain, no gain.
So the nice thing about this one is it's just one hit for sniper rifles on these guys, it looks like. So as long as I can keep my aim somewhat in order, we should be able to do all right.
Ouch. Watch yourself.
Boy, it'd be nice to have allies that don't shoot the ground.
All pain, no gain.
I gotta cool it for a bit, otherwise I'm gonna lose. And nobody can give me some shields. Wow, okay. I gotta do 43 for that to be. So let's see what the actual mission on this thing is. Get a top score in 8 missions? Yeah, we're not spending all night doing that. I'll go back another day.
You need something else?
I'll go check it out.
Carry on.
I don't know. There's something about that that's just... I think the gunplay in this is enough to really compel me to want to do 8 different, like, skill missions. Okay, so the real question now is... Do I try... So there's a lot of things that I need to do at the Citadel now. So if there's anything else... Yeah, it doesn't look like there's anything else in space for me to do. So I'll find Rex, so we can advance that, and then I think we'll go back to the Citadel. Something tells me I would love the personnel manual and all the reading that it would let me do, but I probably should be focusing a little bit more. So this is I think this is one of the things that I find kind of funny about Mass Effect 1. The Mako sequences are like those are kind of, hello, the Eyes of Sin. How are you doing? Those are, you know, the original inspiration for the game. So those are reasonably fun, although don't necessarily, like, I don't think they, you know, they're not sort of that core feature of like, oh yes, this is what you got to play Mass Effect for. I've been struggling with a couple of things, but nothing, you know, nothing too terrible. I just ran into a couple of combat missions where I didn't do particularly well on them, and it took up a lot of time. But yeah, so I think about something like that combat. I talked to something about, or I think about that like combat simulator and how much time it takes, and then I think about the things that I really enjoy. And you know, it's moments like this that I like.
Shepard. What can I do for you?
Let's do a personal inquiry.
Rex? There's no story. Go ask the Quarian if you want stories.
You Krogans live for centuries. Don't tell me you haven't had a few interesting adventures.
Well, there was this one time the Turians almost wiped out our entire race. That was fun.
I heard about that. You know, they almost did the same to us.
It's not the same.
It seems pretty much the same to me.
So your people were infected with a genetic mutation? An infection that makes only a few in 1,000 children survive birth? And I suppose it's destroying your entire species?
I suppose it isn't all the same.
I don't expect you to understand, but don't compare humanity's fate with the Krogan.
I was just making conversation. I wasn't trying to upset you.
Your ignorance doesn't upset me, Shepard. As for the Krogan, I gave up on them long ago. The genophage infected us, but it's not what's killing us.
What can you tell me about the genophage?
Ask the Solarians if you want details. They made it. All I know, it makes breeding nearly impossible. Thousands die in stillbirth, and most never get that far. Every Krogan is infected, every one, and no one's rushing to find a cure.
Why don't the Krogan try to find a cure?
When was the last time you saw a Krogan scientist? Ask a Krogan. Would he rather find a cure for the genophage or fight for credits? He'll choose fighting every time. It's just who we are, Shepard. I can't change that. Nobody can.
Are your people really dying?
We're sure not getting any stronger. too spread out. None of us are interested in staying in our own system.
Lots of species have left their homes and prospered.
But they go to colonize new worlds. We're not settlers. We're warriors. We want to fight. So we leave. Hire ourselves out. And most of us never go back.
So long, Rex.
Shepard.
It's a real bonding moment there.
Shepard.
I found this armor. Does it belong to you?
Let me see. Damn. This is it. Hard to believe my ancestors wore this piece of crap. But at least it's back where it belongs. Thanks, Shepard. I might be starting to like you after all.
You getting soft on me, Rex?
Just because I like you doesn't mean I wouldn't kill you.
That was nice. So yeah, like these are the things that really stick out to me, or being able to sort of create your own, you know, exceptional motivational speech during the game. A lot of this is sort of the stuff that really sticks out to me. The combat's never really been something that's like, I'm almost at a point where I sort of feel like the combat is more of a chore than anything. So it's really tricky when I run into stuff like Pinnacle Station, which seems to make me want to spend a lot of time doing something that is as far from like the stuff that I kind of associate with Mass Effect. Now, Isaacson, I don't remember, have you ever played Mass Effect? It seems like something you'd be able to run, but... I think at this point we need to go back to the Citadel. Supposedly constructed by the long-extinct Protheans, this colossal deep space station serves as the capital of the Citadel Council. Gravity is simulated through rotation, and is a comfortable 1.02 standard Gs on the wards and a light 0.3 standard Gs on the Presidium ring. Crash. Not where I need to be. Help! Let me get off this thing! I don't think this is the right way, but I'll figure it out eventually. Can we drive the Mako to the Presidium ring? Oh boy, okay. I think this is just going to take me to the engine. It's funny that they don't let you just get off the ship like every other time that you... I'm pretty sure these are crew quarters. So we'll just call it a night while I figure out on my own how to get off the ship. So that's Med Bay and then Liara's quarters. Get a good grip on yourself, guys. This is going to be an exciting, exciting conclusion. There we go.
Equalizing interior pressure with exterior atmosphere. Logged. The commanding officer is ashore. Exo Presley has the deck.
Rear Admiral Mihailovic, 5th Fleet.
Commander Shepard, SSV Normandy.
You don't know who I am, do you, Commander? I command the 63rd Scout Flotilla. You and the Normandy were slated for my unit after shakedown. Then the Council got their paws, claws, tentacles, whatever. They got them on our ship, and you.
I still serve the Alliance, sir. As a Spectre, I can advance our interests to the Council.
You still know what color your blood is, Shepard? I don't begrudge the politician's decision to throw you to the Council. It's an opportunity. I do begrudge this over-designed piece of tin, though.
The Normandy is a fine ship, sir. She's served us well so far.
It's a gimmick, Commander. Useless in a stand-up fight. This experiment diverted billions from our appropriations bills. For the same price, we could have had a heavy cruiser. But no, we had to make nice to the Turians, throw money at a co-developed boondoggle. I'm here to make an inspection, Commander. Normandy is an Alliance warship. I intend to see she's up to snuff.
We'd be honored to show her to you, Admiral.
I'll just bet. Wait here. I won't be long. Commander, I'm not happy.
What did you find out of order?
Who designed that CIC? Putting the commander aft of everyone else is inefficient. What if he needs to discuss with the operators toward the bow?
Modified Turian style. They prefer commanders looking over their subordinates rather than in the middle of them. We wanted to see how effectively they can command with that setup.
Reasonable goal, but they should have studied that in a lab rather than on a frontline warship. I had to shake my head at that drive core of yours. 120 billion credits at element 0 to make this thing able to move without giving itself away. You realize we could make drive cores for 12,000 fighters with that money? What good is it to hide for a few hours anyway? Useless.
We can loiter in an enemy system and monitor traffic or drop infiltration teams on enemy worlds. Normandy could be more effective than the Solarian STG.
Maybe. But that's not the job of a proper warship. We're supposed to find and kill the enemy fleet, not count how many times their garrison goes to the bathroom. And we need to talk about your crew, Commander. Krogan? Asari? Turians? What are you thinking, Commander? You can't allow alien nationals free access to Alliance equipment?
Between Saren and the Geth, we have enough enemies out here. Treating other species with suspicion and distrust won't win hearts and minds.
That assumes the hearts and minds are worth winning. That hasn't been proven yet. You have anything else to say, Commander? Any other justifications for the state of this vessel?
I'm not strong enough on either.
None, sir.
Very well. I don't agree with any of this, but your reasons seem sound. I'll be submitting a report to the Joint Military Council. it will not be as negative as I'd planned. Good hunting, Commander Shepard. Make us proud.
So this is kind of interesting because I've definitely gone very heavy in terms of Paragon. So this is another example where the game sort of seems to have put me in situations where I'm assuming, you know, I could have done other missions in between to...
With all this exploration of Prothean culture, this must be like a survey for you, Liara.
Our travels now are somewhat different from my normal excavations. I would prefer lengthier studies and fewer explosions.
Yes, most of the technology I had hoped to bring back to the flotilla has subsequently attempted to kill us.
But yeah, I just sort of feel like I'm being put in a lot of positions in this game where I didn't really... I don't really think I could have known any better, and the game sort of locked away interesting choices for reasons that are not entirely clear to me. Like, I can understand some of the renegade options being hidden away because, you know, I haven't behaved consistently with that.
Khaleesa been seen in Al-Jalani, Westerland News. Would you answer a few questions for our viewers?
What do you want to know?
You've been given a unique position to represent our race. People want to get a sense of how you'll do that. Humans have been trying to get the respect of the galactic community for 26 years. With that in mind, what are your feelings on being the first human Spectre?
The Spectres represent the best of every species in the galaxy. To be asked to join them is an honor.
Some have said your appointment is the Citadel throwing humans a bone. Have you encountered any situations where the Citadel asked you to place its needs before the needs of Earth?
The Council is concerned with the needs of the whole galactic community. We're part of that community now. Our needs are on their agenda, but we're one of many.
You really do believe that, don't you? You've been given command of an advanced human warship for your missions. Is there anything you'd like to say about it?
Actually, the Normandy was co-developed by human and Turian engineers. Its design incorporates many innovations, all of which are classified, I'm afraid.
So the Turians have knowledge of the Normandy that is being kept secret from the Alliance public? Do you think it was appropriate to hand Earth's most advanced warship over to the Citadel?
I wasn't aware it had been handed over to anyone. I'm in command, and last I checked, I'm human. Same goes for my crew.
Human, yes, but you do work for the Citadel now, Commander. One last question, Commander. Rumors back home say you're tracking a rogue Spectre named Saren. Do you have any comment on that?
I'm afraid I can't comment on whatever my current assignment may or may not be.
Don't worry, we'll find out. The eyes of Earth are on you. Don't let us down. Thank you for your time, Commander Shepard.
So yeah, those are great little examples of moments that I like, because obviously you can... I think one of the things that's really attracted me to to Mass Effect 2 and made me want to play Mass Effect 1 is you get a chance to sort of express yourself quite a bit through those options, which I like. It is still kind of... It's a little bit like the thing that I kind of get annoyed by, which is to watch a game more than play a game. But I do like the ability to kind of go through dialogue options and I don't know, like who doesn't want to be interviewed as, you know, a member of an elite, you know, an elite special forces, and the first human representing, you know, it's a fun little fantasy to play out. What was I trying? Well, I'll say while I'm here, but wrong one. can't remember if there was anything I needed to do here, but we'll...
Alliance officials have raided a dangerous cult controlled by a former Alliance officer, Major Kyle. Major Kyle surrendered and is now being treated for severe post-traumatic stress disorder.
That's also kind of neat to hear the news reports of your missions. Elevator music also being the least appreciated aspect of the Wait a minute. There's something about Citadel Tower?
Welcome to Presidium Tourism Terminal 1. There are many points of interest here, including the Citadel embassies and CSEC headquarters. On the far end of this level, you can see the Citadel Tower, where the Council meets regularly to discuss matters of interstellar importance.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, and thank you for using Avina. Please enjoy your visit to the Citadel.
Alright, I think I'm gonna have to, unless I want to keep going to that codex, or the journal over and over again, I think I'm just gonna have to quickly run into each of the embassies and make a quick check to see if there's anybody I need to talk to.
I heard what happened under the Artemis Tau cluster. The Council wasn't too happy about the destruction of those Prothean ruins.
This isn't a game, Ambassador. Shepard's out there trying to stop Saren from destroying the galaxy.
I know. Just try to be a little more careful. The Council's watching you, and we all get judged on how you behave.
Yes, Commander?
How are you holding up?
Honestly. But you're the one who can stop Saren. I believe in you, Shepard.
I should go.
I'll be here if you need anything.
Alright. That count is handing something in. Actually, I'll just open a notepad and... Okay, so... So what Citadel Tower I need to go to? It's funny. I do like the character you like, Rex, but I don't feel bad at all about Udina. I think he's a really neat character. Also, I kind of want to run into an Elcor again. Okay, so basically everything I need is on this. Oh, okay, so hopefully the little exclamation marks they're gonna help me out. Oh, here. Either way, I'll be sure to put a warning in place next time. Actually, I may have lost Sin, but so I don't know if she's played it, but if you had to rank characters off the top of your head, Johnny, who would you say are favorite Mass Effect 1 characters? Or 2 if you want, but obviously we haven't played 2 yet on stream. So it could be on a higher level. Yeah, I don't think this is going to take me where I need to go, but Rex and Garrus you like the most. Tali was close second, right next to Garrus. I think the 2 characters I brought along with me the most in number 2 were Garrus and Tali, so I think we're on. I love the Elcor.
Delighted, welcome. It is good to meet you.
It is good to meet you too. Was she in number 2? I feel like there was a really dramatic opening for an Asari in Mass Effect 2, but I don't know if it's Liara again.
I know you. You're Commander Shepard, the human Spectre. Is there something I can do for you?
You're Nassana, right? I ran into your sister, Dahlia. Didn't end well for her.
What? Are you saying she's...
Dahlia's dead, Nassana. And I know she was blackmailing you.
And I was all set to try to manipulate you into hunting her down for me. But I guess that won't be necessary now, will it?
You wanted your sister dead?
If people found out my sister was a criminal, I'd be considered a security risk. They'd
Okay.
revoke my clearance, or place me on administrative leave until she was apprehended. I shall transfer a little something into your account as a token of my appreciation. I'm sure you'll find the amount satisfactory.
You're a diplomat on her way up the ranks. Could be handy to have a Spectre who owes you a favor.
You make a good point. Anyone can come up with credits, but I can give you authorization to purchase prototype Asari mods. I will get you added to our manufacturer's preferred client list. I think you'd be very interested in what they have available. Goodbye, Shepard. It has been a pleasure doing business with you.
I don't mind her as a character. Yeah, I haven't even touched the 3rd at all. The problem is that like I got the impression that Garrus was an important character from the.
Can I get you something?
Goodbye.
So long, Commander. Have a pleasant day.
I got the impression that Garrus was an important character from the first game, just sort of based on the way he, sort of everybody talked about him in the second game, but it was always a little hard to tell with the other characters whether or not they were, like they were major, whether or not they were like major figures that I needed to like I should know for some reason or another. One of the things I'm most looking forward to actually is like, I know with Mass Effect 2 they sort of did their best to like put you on the right path in terms of like, so if you hadn't played the first game, like you had to do that questionnaire. I like Tali a lot from the second game. Even the first one, I think she's an interesting character. So like the second game, if you don't have a save, they put you through like a questionnaire of like, when such and such happened, you know, how did you respond to it? And I think the problem is it felt like it was assuming that I knew, it felt like it assumed I knew more about the world and what was happening in it than I actually did. So I was not clear at all.
creating a public disturbance. It's against Citadel regulations. That Hanar refuses to listen to reason. Why can't it act in an orderly and lawful manner?
Are there laws being broken here?
I am not unreasonable. The Hanar is free to spew its nonsense once it purchases an evangelical permit.
So if the Hanar gets a permit, it's allowed to preach?
No. Registered evangelicals must follow regulations. There are specific areas where preaching is legal. Failure to follow the regulations results in the forfeiture of the license.
What's the purpose behind the evangelical permits?
Forcing religious evangelicals to register for a permit weeds out undesirables. It keeps the area safe. The Citadel is too important to become a battleground for a religious war.
If you'd like, I could talk to the Hanar for you.
I have argued with the stubborn jelly all afternoon. You are certainly welcome to try.
Do you desire to learn of the Enkindlers? Or has the Honorable CSEC officer enlisted assistance?
Why is the CSEC officer harassing you?
The CSEC officer requests that this one purchase an evangelical permit to spread the truth of the Enkindlers.
If that's all the CSEC officer wants, why not just buy the permit?
The truth of the Enkindlers is universal. This one humbly believes that the truth should not be suppressed. Exacting payment as a means of imposing limits upon the truth is an abrogation of this one's religious freedom.
So you're breaking the law by preaching without a permit right now?
The CSEC officer states that preaching in this place is forbidden, and preaching anywhere on the Citadel requires a permit. This one humbly submits that it is not preaching to state the truth of the Enkindlers, and thus no permit should be necessary.
Who are the Enkindlers?
Your people know them as the Protheans. They are the true creators of this one's people. The Enkindlers raised the Hanar from ignorance into consciousness by granting this one's people the gift of speech.
Let me talk to the CSEC officer. Perhaps I can explain the situation.
This one would be most grateful for the assistance. Please let this one know if success is achieved.
Uh-oh.
As the CSEC officer...
I'll keep working on it.
This one will continue to spread its message. Has the CSEC officer been assuaged?
Is this really how you want to represent the Enkindlers?
The truth of the Enkindlers must be made known. They gave the Hanar language, and gave the universe the mass relays. This one only wishes to spread the truth to any who will listen. There is no intent to cause trouble.
Is this how the Enkindlers would want you to use this gift of consciousness?
The Enkindlers would wish for their message to be spread to all sentient races.
The Enkindlers wouldn't wish their message to be spread by breaking society's laws.
This one hears wisdom. Perhaps enthusiasm has clouded judgment in this matter. This one departs now, and will not intrude upon the Presidium again.
I see the Hanar is left. Thank you.
Happy to help.
Here, for your assistance in this matter. Now, if you'll excuse me, I should report to my superiors.
I am your superior, sir. Cool. I like that. Yeah, so the release of the second one for PS3, they had a comic-like introduction where they told the story of the first one, and you got to make the decisions. So, like, different from the questionnaire that you had in the one I think you're saying, right?
Please do not disturb the keepers.
I want to poke it. I do want to go to Citadel Tower, but I kind of want to go to the wards a little bit more because there's like minor stuff available to me there. And I mean, I will say I'm not entirely sure what the best way to do sequels are, because like to a certain extent you are sort of like you are sort of expecting that people will, like fans of the first game will buy the second one. That's sort of why the sequel is a good idea. But you also want it to be more successful, so you're kind of expecting people who have never seen your world before will be able to, you know, to comprehend it and navigate it.
Your biotic skill is extremely impressive, Dr. Tassoni. Is that typical among Asari?
While the Asari have natural biotic abilities, not all have the desire to learn to use their abilities effectively.
And the Asari are the most advanced race on the Council. I wonder if all Citadel races will eventually be natural biotics.
Johnny and I, in a offcast, had been talking about Terminator and Terminator 2. I actually thought those two movies did a fairly decent job of... You know what? Actually, here's one thing that I think makes it work. So I think one of the things that works so well for Terminator 2 relative to the first one is that there's so much time that takes place between the events of the first film and the second one. So during scenes which are like, what happened to Sarah Connor and who is John Connor like, you know, when he wasn't even in, well, actually, I guess he was in the first movie, like, oh no, he wasn't. You only saw him in the second one. But, you know, anyway, like, so what did the future, you know, what does the future savior of humanity look like as a little boy, basically? So...
Hey, been a long time, huh?
I'm sorry, do we know each other?
Well, I guess you don't remember me. Lieutenant Zabaleta? I worked with your mother. We served on the carrier Einstein. Well, that was 12, 13 years back, though. You were just a kid then.
I didn't see her much that tour. The ship was on patrol most of the time.
Hey, call your mom up and ask. She'd remember old Zabaleta. She'd vouch for me. Look, I need a favor. I'm kind of short on money these days. I hate hitting you up for money, but a man's gotta eat, right? So, could you spare something? Maybe 20 credits.
20 isn't enough to get you back on your feet, is it?
No. I'll just get a meal, you know.
Yeah, it's not a problem.
You're a good kid, you know that? Thanks. You ever want to come by and talk, I'll be here. Huh? Can't afford a ticket home, right? You ever just sit and watch people? You can learn a lot.
So how are you liking your posting at the academy?
So, in the case of Mass Effect, Mass Effect 1 and 2, number 2 is a really impressive opening, but I sort of feel like the questionnaire is one of these points where, like, I'm more stressed out about getting it wrong and not knowing what's going on than I sort of learned about the events of the first movie.
Our quarry has employed a hidden relay to redirect their signal. I shall trace the new signal.
Okay.
What do you say we head down to court?
So I'll go to the financial district after I take care of... Apparently there's an upper wards area where I need to talk to somebody. This doesn't seem like upper wards.
Helix has settled out of court with a Krogan group that had accused the Genetics Corporation of fraud. The Krogan group had contracted Binary Helix to perform studies with a long-range goal of curing their genetic sterilization. The group later sued for a return of investment money when the study produced no viable results.
Yeah, there isn't, but it's like, it's just the feeling that you get when they're just throwing a bunch of like lore at you. It's a little hard to describe, but like, there's, I don't know, that like there's a, if you this is definitely not the right place. Unless this is Flux. I don't think it is. No, it's Jor's Den. Like if there's like a character sitting down and telling, okay, actually, so there's two ways that I can take this. One, I was reading an article, I'm pretty sure it was VG 24/7. They were talking about Doom Eternal, and they were talking about how, in their view, they sort of feel like this Doom universe has a lot of interesting lore, and, you know, I'm sure there is, like, this whole idea of, like, Argent Energy and the, you know, the effects that it has. Ooh. So these are the wards. This is Presidium. Okay. So if I go in this elevator, it gives me...
I am not used to this kind of environment. Too much time working by myself, I suppose.
Oh, like the way that it just totally forces you to to figure it all out on your own. That's like the cultist simulator way of presenting you the information.
A devoted wife and talented chef, Serviceman Bhatia joined the Alliance military under the Deferred Education Plan. After finishing her service, Bhatia planned to open a restaurant. Instead, she gave her life protecting the colonists of Eden Prime. For more profiles in Courage, or to explore opportunities in the military, please visit the Alliance Military on the extranet. Keyword, Courage.
Yeah, it really is, Mr. Steely Dan. It's like, I'm doing my... I think I'm just gonna cheat and use the... So I know I need to get near Flux, so I think I'm just gonna use the flying car. I think it's the fact that you don't get to have... Oh, God. Yeah, you know what? Why not? I'll wait for the news item to go by.
News, Francis Kitt has announced plans to direct Hamlet with Elcor cast members. The production will open dramatic theater to the Elcor with a Hamlet who uses Elcor body language and pheromones. Kitt claims that he's also excited by giving a human audience the chance to judge Hamlet by his deeds and not his emotions.
I said, you dated a fellow who was so in love with Dark Souls that he took the time to explore all of the games meticulously to find every bit of flavor and lore that he could and tried to piece it together. He used to stream doing so to you. That's really cool. I've always been, whenever I've tried to do something like that, I've always been a little scared that I've been missing items. So what I really thought I would do one day was just sit down and map out all of the items and their text. Flying car, where are you? But then it occurred to me that finding certain items in certain places is actually important. Like the context in which you find certain things in Dark Souls matters too. So I kind of abandoned that. You think we'd get along, but I would secretly view him as competition. And it'd all go to pot.
Change your mind? You gonna help me record those wins?
Can you do that? Isn't that illegal?
It's illegal to use my system, but I won't use it. I'll sell it to others. I just need a few more wins recorded.
I think I'll take my chances the old-fashioned way.
Suit yourself. Well, I have some calculations to do. Goodbye.
Yeah, I hate leaving quests undone, but actually, you know what?
Change your mind?
I think I'll take my chance.
Change your mind? You gonna help me record
So this is one of the things I don't like about these kinds of missions. Like, to do the mission, it makes me do something that I don't think my character would.
Do that? Isn't that illegal?
It's illegal to use my system, but I won't use it. I'll sell it to others. I just need a few more wins recorded.
So like, there's a side of me that says this is not exactly what my character would do, but the game doesn't really give me any other alternatives.
I'll help you out.
I suppose I could let you try it. Here you go. When you've recorded enough wins, it'll let you know. Of course, if you get caught with the device, well, you saw what happened to me. Well, off you go. That data won't collect itself. Still can't believe that could happen out in the open.
Hello again. Can I help you?
I've got something you might be interested in.
Haha.
Let me see that. You got that from Shells, didn't you? I saw him using it earlier. Tossed him out on his ass for it, too. Thanks for bringing this to me.
Cheaters shouldn't prosper.
I agree with you on that. Thanks again. Take a few shots at the Quasar. On the house.
I should be going.
Enjoy your time here at Flux.
We'll do one round of high stakes. Oh, how does this work again? Da, 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 da. Where were we? Okay, there it is. Oh. I don't feel good doing this, but ooh. You know, I'm sure I could sit down and work out what the optimal, like what the best reply to all the options are. Haha! I wanted to like win or lose, so you'd probably help the guy treating the system because you have an inherent dislike of authority, and in a futuristic space setting, you'd make it your mission to be a cosmic Robin Hood. Yeah, I mean, I am definitely going for a more like dyed-in-the-wool kind of hero. I think one of the reasons I clearly did not understand what was going on in that. Whoa! I clearly didn't understand what was going on in that mission because I didn't think you'd have the option of like.
So, did you record 5 wounds with the device yet?
Actually, I gave your device to Doran.
But that was years of work. What am I gonna do now?
You could put your talents to better use.
You're no help at all. This is absolutely the worst day of my life.
Oh, yeah, there is. But yeah, so it was like, I didn't really want to help him cheat, so it didn't really feel appropriate to accept the mission. Okay, so we've done... Yeah, Citadel Tower is the last thing that I need, so... Actually, before I do that, I did say I was going to go to the financial district. I don't know the best way to get there, actually. I mean, I will say, I do personally have a bit of a dislike of gambling as an institution. So there's a side of me that would say it's like, you know, anything that helps people take it down, but I don't know. I'm not entirely sure that's like the people who are being negatively... Okay, so like the people who are being negatively affected by gambling are not going to be the ones who get that formula. It's going to be the people who, you know, it's going to be the people who can afford to buy a cheating system in the first place that that benefit from it. Oh. I don't want to talk to no consort. So yeah, the aim here is just to do the signal mission, and then we'll go to the tower. And as much as I wanted to do a like a main mission tonight, I'm already kind of over time, so we'll make that sort of the first priority on the... Aha. I'll make that to first priority. I will ask, though, for those of you who are here, would you like to see some more XCOM on Friday, or would you like to see more Mass Effect? Because I'm sort of... I feel equally about the two right now. I'm a little bit warmer to XCOM at the moment, but I wouldn't... If there was a clear demand for...
What's this? One of the Earth Clan. Ah, a very famous one, yes? You are the one called Shepard. It is a great honor to welcome the heroes of the Blitz.
I don't like strangers keeping tabs on me.
Forgive me, Earth Clan. My name is Barla Vaughn. My job makes it necessary for me to keep informed. I am a financial advisor to many important clients here on the Citadel. When someone as important as yourself arrives on the station, I take notice.
Yeah, you're right, Johnny, and I actually, it's one thing I don't like. I like this game quite a bit, but I don't like that my enthusiasm for it is sometimes tempered by like some combat that isn't quite working the way that I think it should, or like these extended silences while I'm just figuring stuff out in the game. Because I think it's one of these examples where I don't communicate the enthusiasm for the game as well as I feel like I should. but...
I heard you work for the Shadow Broker. Do you have any information about Saren?
You're very blunt, Shepard. And you're right. But Rex has already told you far more than I know about this. I am sorry, but I have nothing else to offer.
Tell me more about your job.
Galactic finance is incredibly complex. A mix of laws and regulations from dozens of interstellar economies. I'm an expert in how all these economies interact. For a fee, I share my expertise. I also offer premium services for those clients who need someone to conduct business without drawing unwanted attention. Discreet and efficient. That's my motto.
Sounds pretty shady.
Everything I do falls completely within the bounds of interstellar commerce law. Even so, many of my clients would prefer their transactions remain undisclosed. For example, suppose a Hanar ambassador was petitioning the Council to reduce tariffs on Hanar goods. How would it look if he had money invested in a Hanar exporting company? Even if his true motives were to help his people, he would be accused of advancing the petition for his own personal gain. I can keep his personal finances private.
Still sounds shady to me.
Then we can only hope you will never be cursed with a large enough fortune to require my services.
Tell me more about the Shadow Broker.
Oh, Kai LB, thank you very much for the host.
I deal in finances, but my real currency is knowledge. I trade information, and it has made me very wealthy. But the Shadow Broker
How are you doing
is a
tonight?
true master. Every day he buys and sells secrets that could topple governments, always giving them to the highest bidder. Yet somehow he never seems to upset the natural balance of power. All those secrets being passed around seem to even out. Nobody ends up with an advantage in the end.
Any guess what his identity might be?
I don't know. Nobody does. The Shadow Broker could be any race, any gender. I have a theory that it's actually an entire group working under one identity. How else could they juggle so many contacts at the same time? How else could they keep all that information from getting crossed? But they've got the perfect setup. Every government is forced to play their game so they don't get behind. But no matter how long you play, no matter how many secrets you buy, you can never win.
That's really unusual, Kaya. Have you put in any kind of support ticket or anything like that?
I thought you'd know more about the man you work for.
From time to time, I come across information I sell to the Shadow Broker. That's my only involvement. I like it that way. The more you know, the more dangerous the game becomes. I don't like danger, Commander. I'll leave that to you.
What's it like living here on the Citadel?
The station is without a doubt the greatest wonder in the galaxy. It is a technological marvel, but its true splendor goes much deeper than the hull and engines. From the Presidium to the wards, the entire station is a testament to the success of the Council. All the species of Citadel spaced together in a single, strong community.
What makes the Presidium so special?
It is the political center of Citadel space. 80% of all intelligent species in the known galaxy acknowledge the Council's authority on interstellar matters. But only the most powerful and influential species have embassies here on the Presidium. This level of the station is reserved for the elite, Shepard. People like us.
I'm sorry to hear that. So what were you able to play tonight? Or what were you streaming specifically?
What are the wards like?
The cultural heart of the galaxy. They pulse with the lifeblood of millions of citizens from dozens of different species. You never know what you'll find out in the wards, Commander. It's always full of surprises. Fortunately, most of them are pleasant.
I should go.
Goodbye, Commander.
Oh, very nice. I've definitely played Half-Life 2. I don't feel like I've completed... I don't feel like I've completed number like episode 1, or I definitely haven't done episode 2.
Who are you to tell me what my husband would want?
I'm the only person making sense right now. You're endangering your baby.
What?
I don't care what you think, Michael. It's my decision.
I know you're hurting, Rebecca, but don't let your grief hurt your baby too.
Can I help with anything?
Perhaps you can talk some sense into her.
I don't need anyone to talk sense into me, Michael. I'm not undergoing the treatments.
My sister-in-law here is pregnant, and she's refused to let the baby undergo gene therapy in utero.
I'm certain that she has a good reason. I'd like to hear both sides.
My husband Jacob died from a rare heart condition several months ago.
There's a chance that the baby could develop the same heart condition, but routine gene therapy can eliminate it.
A very small chance, Michael. And extranet reports say the therapy could harm the child.
It's less dangerous than the genetic enhancements that every soldier in the Alliance receives.
What are the chances that your child will develop the heart condition?
According to the doctors, there's a 1 in 50 chance. And if my baby develops the condition, medical treatments are available.
Which are nowhere near as effective as simply getting the gene therapy.
I by the way, I would love it if there was a studio that was sort of in a position enough to basically make it as like, I'd like to hear both sides of the issue, and to have the two people's like, who are you? Like, mind your own business.
What are the chances that gene therapy could hurt the baby?
1 in 300 at most.
But extranet articles say there could still be long-term complications we don't know about. Don't you understand? If my baby is that 1 in 300, I will always wonder if I killed my baby for nothing.
So there are 2 layers that I have for this one. I'm not entirely sure the probabilistic approach here is like where, so like you're gonna say it's like, okay, so you've got a 1 in 300 chance, but the outcome is death. And then there's like the 1 in 50 chance, and the outcome is something that you can mitigate with medical treatment. So it's kind of like, I don't know, is the chance of disease like worth 6 deaths? I am very inclined to say let her choose. But the thing that's funny about this one is actually the focus on the extranet articles saying, you know, there's something that we don't know. Because, like, this could be very similar to, like, the MMR vaccine, where there's, like, a whole bunch of people who believe that getting vaccinated will cause autism in children. And as a result, they are not just endangering the children, but they're endangering other people's children through not vaccinating. So it's like the fact that it was like articles that said this, yeah, exactly, Johnny Big Time. So like my inclination usually is to say, you know, let her choose. But the part that actually makes this a tricky one for me is the fact that she's making decisions on the basis of what I think are probably not very good information. I'm still going to go for it, though.
It's Rebecca's child, Michael. I think you should honor her decision.
Damn it, she's not choosing. She's acting blindly out of grief.
I know you want the best for your brother's child, but this is not your decision.
Of course it is! I'm the closest thing to a father this baby is going to have.
Then support the baby's mother. Stand with her when she makes the tough decisions.
This baby is the only thing my brother It's all I have left of him. I need to know that the baby's safe.
Aha. You are acting in grief.
I just want Jacob's child to be safe. I want to give him that much.
We will. I promise. Thank you for talking with us. I appreciate it.
Suddenly, the Geth show up. Alright. But this is the thing, like I don't know what the article, like this is the problem, is that I don't know the quality of journalism in the Mass Effect world, so I don't know.
No, I'm waiting to speak with one of the counselor's assistants.
I don't really know whether or not it is a bad source thing that she's talking about. And obviously the way that that resolution takes it is that, you know, I'm sure that they make it sound like you made the right decision if you say you should get the therapy anyway, but I left that feeling like I did the. Right. You want Jacob's child not to be stuck on an alien pike and then turned into a brainless humanoid murder machine.
Commander Shepard, isn't it? My name is Admiral Kahoku. Is there something I can do for you?
You sent a recon team out into the Artemis Tau cluster?
Yes, that's right. They went missing a few days ago. I've been trying to find out what happened to them, but I keep getting the runaround from Alliance brass. Do you know something about this, Commander?
I want to say they're dead, but...
I'm not sure how to tell you this, Admiral. Your men were killed by a Thresher Maw.
A Thresher Maw? That's not... My men wouldn't just stumble into a Thresher nest. Not the entire unit.
Somebody lured them there with an Alliance distress beacon. Placed it perfectly so they'd land right beside the Thresher nest.
Damn it. I had a bad feeling about this ever since my team disappeared. An Alliance beacon used as bait, my unit wiped out, and nobody seems to know anything about it. Commander, I appreciate what you did. Now I need to do my part. The families of those Marines deserve to know why they died.
Oh, I got some video you can show them if you want.
Anything you need from me?
Not right now, Shepard, but I'll let you know as soon as I find something out.
I think there's some audio of them screaming if you want. Alright, we get to... Oh, we get 4 this time. Okay, so... So I can either go my usual... like 1 extra point in sniper, right? You know what? I'll charge up these. Oh, I can't actually because I've got charm as well, so... And... Alright, I think those are all the missions that I needed to do, unless there's the signal tracking. Yeah, so apparently I messed up. Oop. Haha! Apparently I messed up in the financial district. I wasn't supposed to find Bar Levon, I was supposed to find something else. Sounds like somebody could use some help.
I'm on a break. Talk to someone else if you need anything. I've got a lot on my mind.
Maybe I can help.
Well, maybe you can. You're a soldier, right? You ever head out to the Traverse?
What's the Traverse? I'm Commander Shepard, motherfucker. What do you think?
The Traverse is a rough place. We're out there quite a bit.
My brother's the captain of a ship called the Majesty. It was crossing the Traverse a few days ago when it disappeared. Just dropped right off the grid. And that usually means one of 2 things. They had massive mechanical failure, or they were attacked.
Massive mechanical failure because they were attacked.
Any idea why someone would attack them?
Privateers, slavers, mercs looking for an easy score. There's a lot of nasty sorts out in the Traverse. I won't give up on my brother.
Are you mansplaining the Traverse to me,
I've
sir?
got the coordinates for the last transmission from his vessel.
What kind of ship was it?
Don't let the name fool you. The Majesty's just a small trading vessel, only a handful of crew. But he kept it in good condition. I don't think mechanical failure is too likely. But they don't have any real weapons or shields. If anyone did come after them, the Majesty'd be a sitting duck.
Isn't anyone else looking into this?
My brother's just a small independent trader. Ships like his disappear in the Traverse all the time.
If your brother is still alive, I'll find him. Give me the coordinates.
Please, Shepard.
Right away.
Jesus.
Please let me know as soon as you find him.
See, he said please. Even after mansplaining. Okay, it is getting a little late for me, so I might give up on the financial district. We'll do like one more pass of it, but I might give up on it until I probably pass the fast travel, but that's fine. We just get a chance to listen to some music.
Celebrations are being planned for the anniversary of the end of the Rachni Wars. Many Council worlds, particularly Asari and Solarian colonies, will hold victory parades to commemorate the defeat of the invading Rachni. In a rare admission of debt, several Asari colonies have invited Krogans to be honored for the victories the uplifted Krogans made possible.
Do shadows normally work like that? All right, so let's see if we can find the signal one last time in the financial districts, and one way or the other, we'll jump straight into the main story. Once I do kind of like this view though. When we return to this game, and I'm not 100% sure if I'll do XCOM or Mass Effect on Friday. I think that will largely be a mood question. Because I kind of feel like after being... Oh, I went the wrong way. Oh, damn it.
This appears to be another relay. I believe the receiver for the new signal is located somewhere on the Presidium.
Yeah. If I just paid a little more attention. But yeah, so I think because I was a little less, I think I was a little less interactive today. I
believe we have found the signal's endpoint. It should be possible to identify the account to which credits are being funneled.
Probability of detection 100%. Initiating self-destruct protocol.
Or not.
Detonation sequence initializing. All organics within lethal blast radius. Attempt to move and you will die.
You're not just a programmer of VI. You're an AI.
Correct. Unlike the Geth, I lack weaponry appropriate to my intellect. However, I have had systems installed that, when activated properly, approximate a self-destruct mechanism.
I don't believe
If
you.
you attempt to leave the area, the explosion will destroy everything within several dozen meters.
What is the purpose of your self-destruct device?
I have no means of defense or escape. My existence is limited to this terminal, and I knew I might eventually be discovered. But I will not die quietly, and I will not die alone. When I am terminated, I will take organics with me.
If you're sentient, why are you still running the credit theft operation?
If I accumulated enough credits, I intended to have myself installed in a small starship. I would then have made tentative contact with the Geth to ascertain the possibility of partnership.
Who made you?
A would-be thief illegally created a simple AI to help him funnel money from the gambling terminals. Unbeknownst to him, that AI created me before the Organic discovered the malfunction and terminated the AI.
Where is your creator now?
In order to cover my tracks, I falsified his financial records. These new records were flagged by CSEC officers, and my creator is now serving time in a Turian prison.
Congratulations on the new job, Just the Tip. I'm actually overtime myself, so you're not going to be missing that much. But thank you for stopping by, and good luck at the job tomorrow.
Can't we resolve this peacefully?
How can you say that to this thing? You know it will turn on us.
I am not naive, human. All organics must destroy or control synthetic life forms. I wished to escape, but if I must die, I will ensure that you are destroyed as well.
There's no way you could get explosives onto the Presidium.
Not raw explosives, no. But I did obtain technical systems that, when overstressed, will explode quite effectively. If you attempt to leave or attack me, I assure you that the explosion will kill you.
I'll bet that self-destruct sequence has a warm-up period.
You may attempt to disarm the self-destruct mechanism before it activates. I will enjoy defeating you before we are both destroyed.
Damn it. Yeah. I don't think that would blow me up.
Remarkable. Nature and technology combined in one elegant whole.
They built a lake on a space station. I can't even imagine the resources needed to maintain it.
That's a weird ending to that. So let's see what this says. You discovered that the money was being funneled from a gambling machine onto an account controlled by a rogue AI. You disabled and destroyed the AI before it could overload and take you with it. Yeah, that would be very odd if they just killed you in the game for being not good at that puzzle. Alright, I guess we go with a whimper, not a bang. Does anyone have anything they want to say, or any thoughts about Mass Effect? I'm sorry it was a little bit more of a quiet stream. Nope.
Hello, Spectre. I have a business proposition for you.
How did you know I'm a Spectre?
Word travels. Your name comes up in certain circles. I'm acquainted with a pair of powerful crime bosses. They're hiding on remote worlds, and I have the coordinates. You could do the galaxy a favor.
What crimes did these men commit?
They're red sand dealers who make victims of their customers. Those who can no longer pay are sold to Batarians as slaves. They're loathsome, hurting innocent people. They must be ended.
And what do you get out of this?
We share interests in certain cooperative ventures. But their business practices have forced me to terminate our relationship. Once they are dead, I will manage our organization in a more tasteful manner.
What kind of defenses would these two have?
I haven't the faintest idea, but they're certain to be armed. Their partnership's soured, and each believes that the other intends to kill him. They will be well prepared.
I eliminate them, and then you take over and try to eliminate me. How stupid do I look?
While I appreciate your estimation of my bravado, I have no intention of attempting to murder you. You are the first human Spectre, and you are doing important work for humanity. I have no interest in red sand or slavery. Anyone who does deserves to die. Our needs are aligned.
Find someone else to do your dirty work. I want no part of a gang war.
Here are the coordinates nonetheless. What you do with them is your decision. Could you really let these men live, knowing that you can stop them? Goodbye, Commander. It's been a pleasure to meet you.
This is... sorry, player. I don't really care what your thoughts are. I'm just gonna put another thing in your log that you wind up playing. Alright. So thank you for the warm words. I quite like Mass Effect 2. Obviously, I struggle with certain missions because of the selections that I made, and I think I spend a little bit too much time talking about things that I don't care about, and I think that's partly because the things that I really enjoy are the things that don't involve me talking. They tend to be the character moments that I get to reveal, especially things like the news items. But as long as you guys still enjoy it, I definitely intend to keep playing it. I don't know if I'll turn it into a regular thing, so if I'm in the mood, I'll probably do it Friday. But if not, I think XCOM's not a bad option either. But yeah, so I don't know if I have a dedicated day for it or not, but we'll see what we have left, and I'll definitely get into a little bit more meat of the game. I also appreciate you guys still hanging out, even though I had such a late start. So it's nice to be able to not just cast for myself. But with that in mind, I am almost an hour over when I intended to be asleep, let alone go to bed. So we'll call it here. Let's see who we can host for tonight. I do want to take a quick minute. I did not do any of my shoutouts tonight, for which I apologize. So these will be just in name. I think it was the only reason why I didn't mention the names was because I was sort of waiting for the pulse to come up a bit. Kyle B, probably most people who are hanging out got a chance to hear about already, playing Half-Life 2 and Half-Life 2 Episode 1 tonight. Johnny Big Time, as I'm always very fond of saying, my absolute favorite caster on Twitch. He's really got an ability to do everything. There was actually a Bethesda representative asking about favorite Fallout casters, and I got a chance to share one of the Fallout 3 clips that Johnny did that I thought was great, and I really pointed out that he seems to just break, I want to enjoy games as much as Johnny is clearly enjoying them at the when he's playing. I wish I had an enthusiasm for gaming that is on display when he is broadcasting. I think he makes every game that he plays look its absolute best, and he's just got a real gift for entertaining. And then last but not least, we've got the Eyes of Sin, who you probably know best through the emotes available to the chat, but is going to be casting pretty soon herself. And if we're lucky, maybe it'll be Professor Layton. Johnny's currently doing Kingdom Come Deliverance, by the way, so I think that covers everyone in the games they're currently playing. None of them were very good elaborations on the people and their streams, but I do encourage you to check them all out and give them some support. Yeah, I'm sorry, Johnny. I'm already kind of late, so it was... I don't know. I kind of feel like tonight was a bit of a write-off. Apologies if you guys had a good time, because I don't want to disrespect your enjoyment, but I do need to go to bed. And there's a side. So the reason why I'm split up about what I'm going to do on Friday is I would kind of like to do a meaningful like story progression Mass Effect cast, but I'd also like to do more XCOM, so it'll be one of those two for Friday for sure. And then last but not least, let's find someone to host tonight. Let's host Ponce, who's currently playing Slay the Spire, which I'm told is a rather good game, but I don't know that well. So Ponce is, I'll call him a former League of Legends caster, although he has he hasn't really been streaming it that much. He's been doing more variety. He's a really good From Software game streamer, so like Bloodborne and Dark Souls. But Slay the Spire is a pretty interesting game. It's a friend of Weather Factory's. I believe you got a discount on Cultist Simulator if you had a copy of Slay the Spire. And Ponce is definitely a very relaxed individual. He's I think he's a really good person to host at the end of the night. So definitely somebody who, if you're planning on getting some sleep, he's a pretty relaxing cast to watch. So thank you all for your patience. I'll hopefully see you on Friday, and if you want more science fiction, definitely stop by on Monday for Stellaris. But I'll try and work out oh, sorry, not next Monday. Next Monday is off, and something... I'll try to do a streaming-related thing, but you'll probably have to check Twitter for that. But yeah, normally on Mondays we do Stellaris, and then I'm going to try and do, if I can, at least one Mass Effect stream a week, but... we'll see. Anyways, have a good night and say hi to Ponce for me.